at 9:30 this morning. Butch Castles will join us as well with the latest racing news from New Zealand. 0499 736 736 to join our conversation. What were your highlights? The yes, yes, yeses and the oh, no's from the weekend. I thought it was a great weekend of racing. I didn't know if we were going to have that meeting at Randwick, but it went ahead, and I thought the track played superbly under the circumstances with all that happened in Sydney over the last couple of weeks, and especially that last week with all of that rain. And Moonee Valley, hats off to the Moonee Valley Race Club, because this time last year the club was under a little bit of pressure regarding their track. But since the renovations or since that break over the winter, the track's played superbly over the last couple of Saturdays that they've had racing there. It's 5 minutes past 8. Let's get stuck into the show. All thanks to Bet365. This was the highlight there on Saturday when Via Sistina did it again in the Group 1
Now Via Sistina's got the big gap, and here she comes. Down the outside is Gringotts, and further back to Arapaho making ground. Via Sistina raced up now. Hits the lead. Aliana's racing home well on the inside. Via Sistina in front from Aliana. Via's got a dig. Via neck in front. Aliana's driving, but Via Sistina goes back to back in the wing stakes. Won it by a neck to Aliana.
Now the Group 1 for Via Sistina. Aliana was superb as well. The Derby winner back in second, and the champion trainer Chris Waller joins us. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
How about that Saturday morning and leading in towards that meeting at Randwick on Saturday? I listened to you with Lukey Marlowe and Ronnie Dufficy on Sky Sports Radio. I thought you spoke really well. It's important to get the opinion of someone like you, Chris. Now, when you look back at it, are you glad that you ran on Saturday?
No, that wasn't the reason. I appreciate you listening. But no, my point was, look, the curators have done a fantastic job, and look, they had 200 mils of rain for the week, and the track was safe, but at what cost? Like, how much does it take out of those good horses first up? And we can't just cater for good horses. We need to be running. Like, there's horses that are desperate to win a Group 1 race that love heavy tracks, so I get that. But my complete argument was that we don't give ourselves a chance. Like, they just race at Randwick like every second week.
Yeah.
Through the winter, June, July, and you could clearly see strips in the track. And I think the astute punters would have found them. But is it fair that the astute punters find them and just everyday person, like us, I'm not a form guru, you put your $10 each way on a horse and you end up in the wrong lane and in the wrong part of the track, and your horse doesn't go as fast as Via Sistina. So I just think we've got to give ourselves a better chance. It's just been set up like every dollar is the last dollar. We've got to get every single dollar to generate this amazing prize money that we race for. And is it sustainable? Like, or can we just afford to miss a Saturday here and there, or afford to run a Saturday at Canterbury, Warwick Farm, or one of the other
Newcastle? Wayne
tracks?
Hawkes has been big on heading to Newcastle because he thinks it's the best wet track in the country.
Yeah. Well, we missed the Missile Stakes 2 weeks ago. Yeah. That's no good for anybody. So this time next year, why don't run it at Newcastle and just in Sydney? Like, as I keep saying, it's fantastic racing, and we're just in awe of the prize money we're running for. But if you can't sustain it, and you have to just keep smashing your main tracks, like your Flemington, which is the Sydney equivalent, Randwick, or Rose Hill, which is like your Caulfield or Moonee Valley. That's all we've got. We've only got 2 tracks, so you just need a better platform coming into the winter, because we'll have the same arguments every year if we don't try and help.
Have you had a chat to Peter Volandis about this?
Oh, not directly, but speak to plenty of other people. And I've just, like, you talk to the curators, and you're trying to help them, but they don't. I just feel they don't speak up enough either and just say what they want. Because you're right, just go to Peter. He's a fantastic administrator, and he pushes like he's running a casino. He's not running racetracks. No. And he's done an amazing job, and always will. But yeah, we need to also make sure we're running on the best surfaces and not being criticised for the tracks. Later in the carnival.
Yeah. Yeah, later in the carnival, go ahead with it. But you think that, early on, you got to look after the track, so they're right to go for Everest Day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like no one goes out there and films the track after the last and see how chopped up it gets and what the curators have to do to put it back. But that's going to create a strip for the next meeting and the next meeting after that and the next meeting after that.
So from a trainer's perspective, were you a little nervous there on the Saturday that you knew that Via Sistina and Aliana and Autumn Glow were going to be awfully hard to beat regardless of the track conditions, but you could have really hurt your chances of winning another Cox Plate because of how tough that run might have been there on Saturday? And I guess the question now is, how are they after Saturday?
Yeah, no, they're all well. But and in saying that, you don't really know for 2 or 3 days after a run. So the nerves come in when you haven't been running in Group 1 races for a while and you get on edge. So, but you're also sort of thinking, okay, how much is it going to take out of them? Like I said, what risk of injuries do we have? Because fatigue is when you have injuries. It's not because the track's is rough. Yeah. It's fatigue. They get tired, and first up, albeit only 1,400 metres for that race, it's still a long way, and it's that last 100 metres where they might just not quite hold themselves together as well as they would, and that's when they can do injuries. So, but no, they've pulled up fine, but the more horses you've got, the more injuries you're going to get, and you just want to try and eliminate them.
Yeah. So what would you have done if you couldn't have run on Saturday? Because
I selfishly would have put them back to today, Monday.
Yeah. No, but
Sunday was.
Yeah, but if the races went ahead and you didn't want to risk Via Sistina, and they said they weren't going to move the races because you got your Cox Plate as your big goal at the end of her preparation. So how does that affect your training for them to pick when you want them to?
Well, with Winks, she used to run in that race and then wait 4 weeks to used to be the George Main back then. So we had 4 weeks to sort of recover, and we have to some degree with Via Sistina, but if we want to keep going down the Group 1 path, she's got to run in 3 weeks at the Makybe Diva. Yeah. If we want to, there's $1 million race up here. It's got no listed status or anything. In 4 weeks, like she can either run there, and then go to a Turnbull a couple of weeks after, or Makybe Diva 3 weeks and then 3 weeks to the Turnbull. So that's sort of the options we're thinking about at the moment.
Aliana, wasn't she superb, mate? Do you think if she doesn't miss the kick, she might beat Via Sistina?
I'd say I think she had Via Sistina at the 100 metre mark with momentum, and to my eye, I just saw Via Sistina lift a little bit that last bit and just started to edge away again. Yeah.
Can you just explain this to me as well, Chris? Because I'm fascinated by this, and you've been, well, you're the champion trainer that knows best. But with
I've got more horses than everybody else. That's why we get a lot of wins. We'll drop the champion trainer.
I'm fascinated to work out why, like. You look at Aliana and you think, well, it's a perfect profile for her for a Caulfield Cup, but you've mentioned that it can be too difficult on those horses. What's the difference of setting her for a Cox Plate at Weight for Age, taking on the very best, compared to preparing her for a handicap Caulfield race in a cup?
I want to win the Caulfield Cup, but I want to win 6 Group 1 races with Aliana. Yeah. And I think that could be the sacrifice. She could win the Caulfield Cup, but we might get barrier 20. We might have a hard luck story. But that Caulfield Cup pressure is pretty strong. And I just find you can just train speed out of horses. You start running them too early in those 2,400 metre races. Yes, we did it in the Derby, but I just think they become 2,400 metre horses if you keep doing it. So that's my mentality, and having trained for a number of years now. Don't call me a vintage trainer or an old trainer, but I just have a bit more confidence making those decisions, because it's hard to tell our owner, we're one of the favourites for the Caulfield Cup, but we're not going to run in it. No. But unless I've got a bit of confidence with the way I speak, well, I can't justify the reasons for not running the Caulfield Cup. But I just think a softer spring, albeit a Cox Plate, if she got there, would set her up for the future.
What do you do with her? Do you try and split her up with V Sistina from now on?
We'll try.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will try. And maybe she's one to keep in Sydney if the Sistina went to the Mackay Diva. I'd say one of them will definitely run in the Mackay Diva, and I'd say one of them will stay home here.
Great pub debate when we talk about Autumn Glow. Like, some say that she'd be a good Everest horse. Some say she should head to a Cox Plate after an Epsom, and she's the favourite, of course, for the Golden Eagle, Chris. It's a good dilemma to have, but everybody knows she's pretty special, but that was a good return there on Saturday.
Yeah, it was great. I think what it showed us was that over 1,100 metres, it's no different to a 100-metre athletics race where there's no room for error, and I don't feel you just quite have that same amount of distance to show your dominance, hence the reason for blanket finishes in a 100-metre athletics race. So you could see she was just off the bridle at the 400-metre mark, and it was only her class that sort of started to prevail at the 100-metre mark when she started to open up her shoulders, as Darren Frindell said.
Yeah. So do you go down the path of a Golden Eagle, or could she go to a Cox Plate, or could she be an Everest horse?
I find it hard setting a horse for the Golden Eagle because it's so far away.
Yes.
So I try and have a sort of a grand final with either Flemington Cup week or the Golden Eagle in mind. So I think we'll be heading down the Epsom path. I've got to talk to Mr. Massara and Hermitage before making these calls, but that's what she looked to myself and James on Saturday, where we'll probably go to a Theo Marks in 3 weeks' time, and then 3 weeks to an Epsom.
Who's your best Everest chance at the moment?
Nature Strip.
Kathy O'Hara and Charlie have been pre-training him for you.
No, I'm not sure. It was completely blank at the moment.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Jolly Star, she's come back really well. She's certainly our number one seed.
Yeah.
So she is for sure. And then Lady Shenandoah, she had a reverse scallop this morning.
Yes.
We're sort of contemplating where we head with her. So she's getting ready to a possible Manikato second up. Hence the reason for reverse this morning. But she'll run in 2 weeks. I think it's the Concord over 1,000 metres in Sydney, and yeah, she could certainly be one in the Everest picture as well. Did
you see Kagan Rising's trial there the other day?
No, I didn't.
No.
I heard about it. Yeah. I heard about it.
It's exciting, isn't it, the fair?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. Hope he gets here and runs up to his best.
Fangirl, is she in Melbourne?
Yes, she is. She arrived Sunday morning.
Yep.
And she'll have a look at Caulfield on Tuesday morning.
Beautiful. There's a little bit of rain predicted, but hopefully it's just a soft track. That'll be okay for her.
Yeah, well, look, Caulfield raced a couple of weeks ago, but I think they give themselves a slightly better chance than Rosehill and Randwick racing every 2 weeks.
Land Legend, everyone wants to tip me for this horse to win a Melbourne Cup. I thought he was brilliant last year in the Cups. He looks like he's come back in great form. He's just got to keep settling. He can't touch that bridle, and he took Zach Curtin on in the Caulfield and Melbourne Cups and just gave himself no chance. So hopefully a year older, he's a bit more mature mentally, and then that'll tell the story. You've been great, Chris. I know it's a very busy morning for you on a Monday. Last question I got for you is James McDonald. Obviously, you've got a one. I think it was your 48th Group 1 that you've teamed up with J Mac there on Saturday, and it's one of the great. It's probably going to be the greatest association in racing that we've seen. Is he a good judge when he rides one at track work? I want to know that.
He is. He's an extremely good judge.
There you go.
He's so invested in the industry in terms of how much preparation he does, and his knowledge from pedigrees to history, and having respect for other jockeys, trainers and horses. He is the ultimate professional. Yep. He just keeps maturing every year, and he's close to the complete package.
Yeah, what a great ambassador for the game he is. And text messages are flying through. Woden and Autumn Boy, just an update on them.
Wotan runs this Saturday over 1,100 metres, which could be a little bit short, given his style of just getting back and finishing off. So just be a little bit wary Saturday. Autumn Boy, he's trialling Friday and will join up. He'll run on the Run to the Rose Day. I think there's a 1,400 metre listed 3-year-old race that day that he'll resume in, and could run in the Golden Rose, but definitely run in the Caulfield Guineas, everything going to plan.
I've got to let you go, mate. We appreciate you coming on the show as always on Giddy Up. Well done on the weekend. It could be one hell of a spring, but thanks for joining us on this Monday morning.
Thank you.
There's Chris Waller, the champion trainer. It's 20 minutes past 8. Mickey Gannon will join us straight after the break here as we look back at Round Week on Saturday.
Storage. Caulfield's spring opener, Saturday the 30th of August. $20 tickets at Ticketek.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy up with Gareth Hall. It's now time for the Monday Breakdown with Mick Gannon.
Hello to you, Mickey. Good morning to you, Mickey boy. We'll get Mickey Gannon up in just a moment. 26 minutes past 8. Mickey Gannon will look back at round week. In fact, I might take the news. I'll take the news and then we'll catch up with Mickey Gannon. 0499 736 736 to join our conversation. Great to have Chris Waller on the show just before, so plenty of news coming out of that chat. But we will take the news and we'll catch up with Mickey Gannon next.
Powered by Signet, here's what's making SEN news. Organisers of yesterday's rallies across the country say support for Palestine is at its highest ever level and more protests are to come. Court today for convicted mushroom killer Erin Patterson for a pre-sentence hearing. She's facing life behind bars for the murder of 3 of her in-laws. A government scheme that would allow first home buyers to put down a deposit of as little as 5% has been brought forward from January to October. And today marks the start of Scams Awareness Week, highlighting the growing risk of online fraud in Australia. Up next, SEN Sport. Hawthorn will regroup ahead of a do-or-die final on the road against either the Giants or Fremantle. The Hawks were beaten by Brisbane by 10 points at the Gabba overnight, and GWS stood tall against St Kilda 104-93. And West Coast co-captain Oscar Allen has confirmed he wants to move to Brisbane next year as a restricted free agent.
Melbourne Racing Club members, renew your membership before September 1 to save on early bird.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy up with Gareth Hall. It's now time for the Monday Breakdown with Mick Gannon.
Good morning to you, Mickey Gannon.
Yeah, g'day G. Good morning. What a weekend of racing it was.
Yes, thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was great to have Chris Waller on the show this morning. So he made the point that he would have preferred to race today because he thinks that it's not fair on horses to compete on a track like that. We got through the meeting okay, and it'll be interesting to hear what Wayne Hawkes has to say about this, especially about what Chris had to say today and, of course, on Saturday morning on Sky Sports Radio. So I think the big question, and Chris said that those horses pulled up okay, but the question is now going forward, looking at this meeting, is that how much of an impact that track had on those horses competing first up in their preparation. And we won't know that until we see him again.
Well, you won't, Gareth. Well, probably a couple of things to touch on is there wasn't many races run at a very, very fast tempo, so that's a big tick for a lot of these horses moving forward.
Well, they couldn't go any quick. It was like...
Look, the Savvy Halley race, they went quick enough, which is good, and the staying race earlier on in the day, they certainly did, but that was a benchmark 78. I can't imagine too many of them will be competitive over the Spring Carnival. But as far as the track play, Chris made an interesting point. There were lanes, but there's absolutely no difference to how a rail true would play on a soft 5 as what it did on a heavy 10. Lane 6 to 12, as we touched on in the weekend preview, are exactly where you wanted to be. at the 200 metres mark. That's where the majority of winners were. And look, rails and runs always going to be inferior with a rail in the true position at Randwick. It has been for as long as I've known G. So the track played exactly how we expected to play on Saturday morning when we spoke about it, exactly how we expected it to play on Thursday. And I think it played really, really well. So full credit to everyone involved. How does the track come through? Not just the horses, but the track coming through. Well, currently 20 degrees here in Sydney for the next few days, which is good. The sun will be shining. It'll be good growing. The grass will get the ability to grow. I think it was interesting to note that they left the grass a little longer. Now, they probably couldn't have got a mower to it, just given how much rain they had, but that probably helped the track as well. So it'd be interesting to see how it all comes together, G, but I was very happy with the day, and I thought it was a pretty fair track for punters and all participants, really.
The talking points from Saturday, how are they going to beat Via Sistina this campaign? Do you think Aliana could give us something to think about in a Cox Plate? She's $2.30 with Bet365 for the Cox Plate Via Sistina. Aliana's at $8. So I know that Johnny O'Neill, just before I went on holidays, he was saying that you should just back her in the Mackay Diva at $2.25, all up into the Turnbull Stakes. She's currently at $2, and then the Cox Plate where she's a $2.30 favourite.
Yeah, well, no knock on that. The only problem for Johnny is those $2 you won't get $6. You'll end up with $3.50 anyway, right? Because they chop you in half. But look, Aliana was exceptional. Does she beat Via Sistina? Probably not. Via Sistina is a champion. You still got to get past her. Like, that's the challenge. It's all good and well to say I could have, but you still got to get past her. What a race it was. How good was Charwolf? I thought his run was exceptional. I think he's back to his best. Really looking forward to seeing him ridden with intent. Obviously, that was the plan. So it was lovely to hear Joe get on X and explain that they actually did want to ride with intent and the horse just missed the start. So I thought that was fantastic. If Chad had gone back to the inside, I think it would have made a real racing 3 to the line. He didn't. That's racing. He zigged when he should have zagged, and we all get it wrong from time to time. So those 3 horses moving forward, G, cannot wait. A horse like Gringotts probably just wants it a little drier. I thought at the 200 metres, Gringotts was going to run away with the race, but probably fitness just gave out a little bit and probably wanted a little bit drier. Outside of them, I'm not really sure. Look, Light Infantryman probably just needs it drier and maybe a bit further as well, G. But Lindemann as well falls in that same bracket.
So Pride Racing, Joe Pride put out on his social media platform X there last night. There's been so much said about the ride on Charwolf yesterday. Plan was to ride him forward, but the horse in capital letters bungled the start. Chad made a split-second decision on the corner, which he was the first to admit was incorrect. Next start in the Chelmsford, and Chad will ride. He's been really good with his transparency, Joe Pride. So was Chris Waller in a way as well. But it's great for racing when trainers, especially with high-profile horses, come out and provide the information to the punters like Joe Pride did last night. So he's going to be hard to beat wherever he goes this campaign, Charwolf. That would probably be the last time he clashes with Via Sistina. His main name's the King Charles. And looking at the market, he's the horse to beat, I reckon, again, Charwolf, if he reproduces that form that we saw there on Saturday.
Yeah, he certainly does. I think he's got a bit of improvement from the yard as well, G. So he'll strip, not just fit up, but I think he'll improve significantly from that. And that was one of the runs of the day, one of the beaten brigade. So now really looking forward to seeing Charwolf. And I think racing in Sydney needs Charwolf to be back to his best in the spring, and the autumn campaign, everything sort of just, they were behind the 8 ball the entire way. Everything sort of just went wrong for him, So, but really looking forward to seeing that horse comes back. And I think Gringotts fits that same profile. Like there's only, 0.3 of a length between those two. I think both those two will be very, very progressive moving forward. So we can stick with them. Arapaho was huge as well off one trial.
Yes.
Wow,
Melbourne Cup written all over him.
Flying again. Yeah, another Melbourne Cup contender. I have to get past Land Legend, but good race living stakes. And, he hear this argument all the time, should it be a Group 1? Well, absolutely off that.
I'm nervous about Land Legend. You're keen on Land Legend for the Melbourne Cup, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. Very keen.
Just talking to Chris today, and then I just don't know about him settling. I can't have faith in him doing everything right in these Cup races.
Well, over 1,400 metres first start, he was restrained to last and he settled. And, you'd say, well, 1,400 metres, they go quicker, Mickey, but they went slow, They went slow in that race. And with 60.5 kilos, he conserved all his energy and rattled home. You want to see it again, of course. We see it again. ticks that box twice.
Yeah. Melbourne Cup.
Watch out.
Scandinavia is not turning up, I don't think, after talking to Aidan O'Brien there. Obviously, there's a little when I was in Ireland, so I don't think he'll turn up. So Dillies is at $13, Vauban $13. Our Riff is the one I reckon coming. That was the whisper that I got in Ireland. If you want to back any horse for the Melbourne Cup, you'd be backing our Riffer from an international perspective. Young Bruegel at 15. He's on more chance of running in the Melbourne Cup than he is. Same with Via Sistina. And just having a look at, you're getting, $26 for Land Legend at the moment. They've even got Constitution Hill in the market with Bet365. So there you go. Now, Autumn Glow, what price for the Epsom? I wonder what weight she'll get for the Epsom as well. Just having a look at the market with Bet365. She's at $2.60. Is she a better bet in the Epsom than Via Sistina is in a Cox Plate at the moment?
It's a good question. What price are you getting Via Sistina?
$2.30 in a Cox Plate.
Yeah, I'd say Autumn Glow and Epsom is a better bet at this stage, just purely because, Aliana's gone pretty close there, and they'll both. You can only imagine that Aliana probably clearly has the more upside out of the 2G. So the price differential between those two is probably pretty close, and I don't know what gets close to Autumn Glow and an Epsom. What's second, third, and fourth in the market there?
So second favourite in the Epsom is Aliana at $9, Lady Shenandoah at $9. They won't go there, I would imagine, with her. She'll be set for Manicato second up. Lady
I believe so. Concord into a Manicato, is that right?
Yeah, that's it. Linebacker at 11, Charles Wolf at 13, another Will at $15. And I don't think she's going to go to the Everest, talking to Chris and listening to them.
They didn't mention it on Saturday morning. No, that was interesting that they mentioned it, but yeah.
Why would you take on Carling Rising in a way when you can win an Epsom and then you've got the Golden Eagle? And there's even talk that they might even, after the Epsom, they might even have a crack at a Cox Plate, or they might come to Flemington for that, for Cup Week. So there's a few options for her, but we know that she's very good.
Well, she's a star. What she did was so impressive. Geez, the time that she ran on a heavy track, and that was the only query. We talked about it. She was a genuine $1.10 pop if she handled it, and she certainly did. Gangster Granny was good, but you could see, the further they went, Autumn Glow would have just won by, further again and again, and half a length to 2 lengths to 6 lengths. So, it's a Group 3 for the fillies and mares. There wasn't a whole lot of depth to it, but the way she won was probably the most impressive piece.
Just with Aliana, Chris Waller point out they're going to go to the Cox Plate. They'll probably split her up on the way to the Cox Plate with Via Sistina. I think everybody was keen to see why he wouldn't go to a Caulfield Cup, but his reasoning behind that is he said that if you keep to the weight for age type of plan, that he's a great chance to win multiple Group 1s with her, but if you try and train her for a Caulfield Cup over 2,400 metres, that could hurt her long term. So that was the explanation there.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Given the horse has gone to a 2,400 metre ATC Derby, so who are we to sort of second guess Chris? Obviously, maybe Derby being 3-year-olds, and being the open company and the handicap conditions of a Caulfield Cup, and you can probably understand that's a tougher test. So, look, really looking forward to seeing her wherever she goes, and she might end up in a Caulfield Cup the year after. Who knows if she doesn't pick up a Group 1 weight for age along the way this spring.
Yeah. Lazura was very good.
Ultra impressive. What a win. Slow tempo. Look, that could be her go. She might enjoy a slow tempo, which means that she might get up to 1,600 metres and something like an Empire Rose for her, but she was exceptional. Probably win of the day, definitely against Patton and against Race Shape. So it's probably important to note there. Plenty of those horses. Sort of Kanish was bitterly disappointed, a horse that we were keen on. Nines into $3.80 favourite, and was absolutely backed as if unbeatable there late, and just has been beaten 6, so and didn't have the race shape in his favour, but Lazura, well, she didn't, and she won well. So I think we've got to follow her with a fair bit of interest. Just in one in the last race, glad you think so. Won a 72 midway, then steps up to a 78. This was a much slower run race than the midway. I think this horse will relish stepping up in grade again, and will continue to go through the grades as far as maybe out to the mile or beyond. So keep glad you think so in your black book, albeit it was just a benchmark 78, and he can continue to work his way through the grades.
Now I've got a horse that you've got to put in your black book.
Yes.
Queen of Clubs. I reckon there's a good race in her, especially when she gets out to the mile.
Yep, flight stakes for her, you'd imagine.
Yep.
I think Within the Law was a better run.
Yep.
But yeah, J-Mac on was... That was the obvious pointer to this horse, turning up on Saturday and putting a good run. But yeah, Queen of Clubs, good horse. Drier deck for Queen of Clubs is going to be the key there. We saw Queen of Clubs get to I think it was a soft 5 and jump out of the ground. So yeah, no, I completely agree with you there.
Stewart's report, anything out of that with Argerwood, who was a little bit disappointing after being on pace?
No, I just suggest that this didn't handle the rain effect of going, as I just bring up the steward's report for you now, G. Didn't handle the going, but it's interesting. The reports were that she was screwed down, ready to go. So for her to perform like that,
was
a little disappointing, wasn't it?
And well done to Kirk Whalen as well. God bless him. He did the job. The people's champ.
Yeah, pulled my pants down, didn't he?
Yeah.
Giddy. Always willing to be against that horse, but got the job done. Not sure where you take him from that race, G, but it was a nice win, and it continues that success of some of these geldings going to new scenery and really jumping out of the ground. So it's good to see.
All right, mate. Horses to follow.
Let's kick off. We'll just go through in the racebook order, I think. So we'll walk through. I thought that Neil for Matty done in the highway was pretty impressive. You can follow that horse with a bit of interest. Well, the only horses to be rails and run or near rails and run on speed and really give a good kick and put them away. I thought across the day was very, very good. What do we do with Dua Kibo? Made a nice run, but maybe have to drop off that horse. So I wasn't keen, but it could leave me out of it. I thought Luff was very good in race 4. It was pretty tough. So we can stick with Luff, albeit not sure how progressive it'll be. Maybe one more run before it goes for a spell. Nelly Laylax was good. Soul Coats, it's interesting with Soul Coats is we can reflect on how good the run, had the perfect run at Randwick and the Kensington, now came out here and failed. So I don't think you want to do a whole lot other than if Nelly Laylax with that race, other than if Nelly Laylax gets to another rain-affected track, a heavy deck, it'll be winning very, very good on a rain-affected going. Within the Law, Queen of Clubs out of the Silver Shadow for sure. Gangster Granny was pretty good. Olden Glow is the obvious. You can probably follow Gangster Granny again. We've spoken about the Wing Stakes in depth. Lazura, of course, one to follow, G, and Glad You Think So. We've got to follow out of the last race, and Narbold was good, but Glad You Think So is definitely the one to follow up in grade.
Great to have the good horses back. The men's is going to be a brilliant race on Saturday, so bring it on. A great time of the year. Footy finals is just around the corner, and Group 1 racing with the Spring Carnival basically in full swing now in the latter stages of August, so it doesn't get any better for us sporting fans. Good on you, Mickey G. Thanks for that, mate.
Thank you, G. Cheers, mate.
There's Mickey Gannon there. Peter Anthony is to join us next to have a look back there at Moonee Valley on Saturday.
Sportsbet Caulfield Cup Carnival, October 11 to 18. Pre-sale tickets from just $30. Book now at Ticketek.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up. Gareth Hall with you. Get your yes, yes, yeses in and no nos. 0499 736 736. That's 0499 736 736. You can watch us live these days. We are streaming on the SEN app, all thanks to Bet365. It's never ordinary when it's brought to you by Bet365. Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Peter Anthonys joins us now. G'day, Pete.
Morning to you, G Hall.
What'd you make of Moonee Valley on Saturday, especially with the way that track played?
Oh, I thought it was a pretty typical rail 5 metre presentation there from the Valley. Obviously, as the track went on and it was upgraded from a soft 5 to a good 4, it was certainly advantageous for those horses that were more forward of midfield, those horses that were able to lead and set the right pace. They obviously gave themselves the best chance of winning. So pretty typical meeting from that perspective. Overall, I'm not exactly sold on the quality of the meeting. I think there was some nice performances for horses resuming, but a lot of them had plenty to come. So we're well and truly away from grand finals for a few of these.
The Carline Stakes was the feature. Barraquill was the winner in the end. I think there was a few that thought that maybe he'll be throwback defence over 1,000 metres, but Benny Allen was able to get him to be leaders back, and then he got that rails run. What'd you make of his performance? Midwest second, Golden Boom back in third, and Oak Hill, the favourite, didn't have the best of luck.
No, and I think you just summed it up really well. I don't think Barraquill necessarily, had to do much more than just take that gap at the right time. And really, I think the way the race unfolded, he was well and truly the suited horse. But you're going back through his numbers and what he's done fresh previously, and to be honest, that's as good as he's ever gone fresh. So you're looking at him as a horse. He's obviously got plenty to come. He's coming off an injury setback and so forth. So you're taking all this into account, and he's got the right run, but it was still an impressive performance, I think, over the last couple of 100 metres. And, he's really just done the job there on Saturday. He's got plenty to come going into this preparation. So, look, we'll just wait and see where he goes to next start. But
he's going to go to the Moya. That's the question I ask. Would you back him in a Group 1 second up over 1,000 metres? He's $6 and second favourite behind Neonce, who's at $4.50 for Graham Beek.
I'm probably still a little bit cool on him over the 1,000. I know he's obviously won there on the weekend, but I think there's going to be better 1,000 metre horses than him. As you mentioned, just with that, perhaps the little barrier matters they just have to iron out. I think you'll get another horse or two that might be better suited, but look, we'll wait and see what the fields look like on the final acceptances. We've got a lot of chess pieces to move over the next few weeks.
I think he can forgive Oak Hill. I know Mark Zahra was riding for some luck. He's trying to get to the best part of the track, and I think sometimes you got to bite the bullet, and I can understand what Zahra was trying to do. If he goes out wide, he can't win. So regardless of the situation, so he's got to try and ride for luck, and it didn't quite work out.
Yeah, we saw that a few times with Mark. He tried the same thing on exit earlier in the card. And look, if those gaps don't appear and then all of a sudden you have to lose your momentum almost pulling to the outside, it can just turn into a bit of a mess. So, look, I completely forgive. I was surprised. I wasn't there for the first Valley meeting of the season, G, but I was surprised how much condition Oak Hill had to come.
Yeah.
So, look, I think that horse is only going to improve. I thought there was an excuse as well for Golden Boom. It just had to work a little bit early. Then there was a bit of a slowdown in the middle of the race where Maloney just tried to get the horse to settle, didn't quite settle. Look, I think there was a good excuse there, and if the horse finds another suitable race going forward, I thought the condition on that runner from Golan's camp was excellent. So that's probably one of my horses to follow out of the meeting, Golden Boom.
We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and have a look at the rest of the meeting at the Valley on Saturday afternoon. You're with Gareth Hall and Peter Anthonys. This is the Monday Breakdown on Giddy Up.
Stowe Storage. Caulfield's spring opener, Saturday the 30th of August. $20 tickets at Ticketek.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up. This is the Monday breakdown, and we look back at Moonee Valley. So Peach's horses that we want to be following are the Carline Stakes. I also want to ask you about, as well as Mornington Glory. Where's he at the moment?
Look, I don't think he was necessarily suited the way the race unfolded as well. Look, I think the jury's still out. Gavin Bedggood looked sort of a mix between angry and despondent after the race. So yes. I think they were anticipating a bit more of a better performance from him. But look, I think there was enough excuses during the weekend to try and trust him, but no market support either. So looking for a little bit of a hint there in the market.
Yes, especially with the group of owners in that horse. I think when Gavin says bet, they will bet, and he won't start $9.50. I think he's one of the horses that, when there is market support for him, he is worth. It's worth taking a close look at that. It's quickly approaching 9 o'clock. We'll take the news and then we'll come back with Pete Anthony for the Monday breakdown. Some good performances there at the Valley, so we'll touch on that straight after the news.
Powered by Signet. Good morning. I'm Nath Gardner with SEN News. A waiting media scrum has gathered outside Melbourne's Supreme Court for the arrival of convicted triple murderer Erin Patterson. It's for a pre-sentence hearing along with victim impact statements to be delivered. Channel 9's Christina Hearn is there and says the defence will no doubt argue for leniency.
They are expected to present evidence of mitigating factors and argue for a non-parole period or minimum sentence. After the 2-day plea hearing has finished, the judge will set a date for sentencing.
Organisers say close to 300,000 people took part in pro-Palestinian marches across the country yesterday. That includes 100,000 each in Melbourne and Sydney. Greens leader Larissa Waters says the countrywide day of action saw around 40 cities and towns taking part.
Yeah, we want peace, we want sanctions on the Israeli government, we want the aid to get through.
Just one person was arrested, and that was for shouting at the protesters in Brisbane. Shifting its focus to housing, the federal government has announced its 5% deposit scheme will be brought forward to October this year. Tobacco habits have been revealed with more nicotine consumed by Australians last year than 8 years ago. And in airfares not seen since its launch in 2004, Jetstar is offering $29 fares for 24 domestic routes from noon today until Friday. Coming up next, sen.com.au sport. Brisbane has overcome an inaccurate start to its game against Hawthorn to lock in a top 4 spot. The Lions kicking 8 consecutive behinds in the first term, but eventually running out 10-point winners. And Australia has won the third one-dayer against South Africa. Despite having already lost the series, the Aussies piling on their second highest ever ODI total of 2 for 431.
Storage. Caulfield Spring Opener, Saturday the 30th of August. $20 tickets at Ticketek.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy Up with Gareth Hall.
This is Giddy Up with Gareth Hall, Monday Breakdown. Peter Anthony is with you. The means test starts at 9:30 this morning, so Wayne Hawkes is already here. Johnny O'Neill will be in the house. Plenty to discuss, so from now on, the Monday means test from 9:30. Get your yes, yes, yeses and oh no's in 0499 736 736. Peter Anthony is with me. We've got Mitchy Lewis not far away and also Chris Nelson as we look back at Adelaide and also Brisbane there on Saturday. Pete will touch on that Belmont meeting as well. Other performances on the day. Cherish Me with the blinkers on. Pete did the trick with her. She had a nice run in transit, but she was too good.
Yeah, she was just too good for the rest of her rivals there. Look, very slow tempo race. Won't be taking too much out of that. I think the winner just found the right race, really.
How good's Jennifer Moose, this 5 or 6 year old mare that's lightly raced for Kira Ma?
Look, I think she obviously seems to be appreciating the valley, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Look, it was a bit of a messy race there over the concluding stages. Muktamil was doing Muktamil things and, Bold Soul looked completely gone on the corner and then found again in the straight. So, look, I'll wait. I'll just be a little bit cool on her going forward. That's obviously a really, nice way to finish off the prep. If she has one more or a couple more starts, we'll wait and see. But, that's her fourth run in a row now over that 2,400 plus distance range. So I'm probably just a little bit cool on her going forward. I'll wait and see where she ends up.
Hey, why did Space Rider start $8.50?
Well, look, I think there was probably a few other fancy runners that perhaps maybe profiled better for that race. But look, in the end, a lot of these horses had, improvement to come. I don't think any of them were necessarily match fit, ready to rock and roll first up. But look, just a charmed run the way the race unfolded for Space Rider. I think that was probably more the point. But it was a bit messy up front. Aleppo Pine sort of went fast early and then slowed them up and then tried to go again. And a few of the other runners were just well and truly off the bit and too far back in the field. So it's one of those races where if you change the track or you change the setup of barrier draws for those horses next start, you'll get a different result, I suspect. But Space Rider just was in the right spot there on the day. Horses
for courses. Red Hot Nick proved that, especially with the track drying out, went to the front and was a great, daring ride. And Red Hot Nick was too good again.
Oh, look, I mean, well done to Tommy Stockdale. He was completely and utterly embarrassed the rest of the field. Yes. I don't actually know what they were doing because he was only going even. The rest of them are going very slow to the 600. He was basically just in his own race. It was quite incredible. I'm actually quite astonished the margins were that big at the 600, to be fair. But I'm quite keen on Stolly Bolly next start. There was still just a tapering off over the last 200 metres to suggest that horse had fitness improvement to come, and that's exactly how that horse paraded as well. So quite bullish on Stolly Bolly next start.
Is he one of the horses that you want to be following from that meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably out of all of the runners, that's the horse I'll be most keen on next start. I thought also Bird Dubai, that was as well as I've seen that horse parade coming out of race 4, and that was a very fast tempo race. Perhaps entitled to finish off given that tempo, and Navy King was just so brave, just kept going through the line and, really strong performance from that horse. But I thought Bird Dubai third up, did win third up last preparation as well. I'd be happy to see where that a horse lobs next start.
And in Perth, geez, the Ken Jemmies, I reckon, in for a big final part of this year. And Phantom was too strong in the Idyllic Print Stakes, which was the feature there.
Yeah, won really well, Sam. So obviously, won well last start, was entitled to at Pinjarra, given the way that track was playing. But, this horse showed a fair bit a couple of preparations ago, then didn't come up 2 preps back. Last prep looked to get something more out of the horse again, and now this preparation had managed to find 2 races in a row, suitable deck. The horse obviously puts himself into the race, which is great. But, a good result for the team. They've obviously had a couple of lean seasons, but they just look back now all of a sudden, don't they? So I'm quite happy to see it again, Jemmys, and those colours, prevailing in good conditions there at Belmont there on the weekend.
Beautiful. Pete, any horses that we need to be following from Belmont?
Not just at the moment. I'm still waiting for a few of these nicer runners to come back. I thought the run of Twilight Tale was okay first up, Gareth. I thought the last 200 metres was an indication that horse, if she gets one more start, I think we can follow up with her. But that's about it for me.
All right then, mate. We appreciate your time, Pete, as always.
No worries, G-Man.
There's Pistol Pete Anthony there. It's 8 minutes past 9. We'll take a break. Chris Nelson and Mitchy Lewis to join us to have a look back at Morphettville, that Parks meeting, and also, of course, at Eagle Farm. This is Giddy Up with Gareth Hall, 0499 736 736 to join our conversation. The means test just after 9:30 this morning. Giddy Up brought to you by Bet365. It's never ordinary when it's brought to you by Bet365. Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Let us know your yeses and your oh no's from the weekend. Always great to catch up with Mitchy Lewis. G'day, Mitchy.
Yeah, good morning, G.
They competed on the Parks track there on Saturday. The feature was the Leon McDonald Stakes, and geez, he can be hard to catch from time to time, but Cafe Millennium was superb down the outside to defeat Splashback in that feature.
Yeah, they were the two standouts of that race. It's almost got back to the sort of typical Parks where you wanted to be closer on speed. It's been quite even in the last few ones there, but I just think that adds merit to both of the runs of these horses. They were, like I said, funnily enough, slowly run race, both pretty far out the back. Look, it's tough to say. I know there was maybe some criticism that Splashback got too far back, but she felt like she sort of had every chance to me. She was only 1.2 lengths off Cafe Millennium. I think Geordie was following the right horse. It's just Cafe Millennium turned up today. He was quicker over the last 600, and he's put a little bit more of a gap on there. So, I think really the story should be Cafe Millennium was probably just too good.
And Splashback, I wonder what they'll do with her now. And Cafe Millennium, I reckon, when he heads to Flemington, I reckon he's the horse that you got to continue to follow. And it was interesting that he handled that Parks track like he did.
Yeah, not many of them came from so far back. I reckon he was 5.5 lengths from the leader at the 600 off the top of my head, and that was all 5 lengths, and that was sort of the outlier. The average was about 2 lengths off, so it was a very good run. It was sort of class shone through. Set up nicely. Look, I had a look at some of the prelim weight for age ratings as well, though, G, and like Splashback still, if they sort of hold up as what they are, it'll be a career best sort of run. Okay. So just shades her run 2 starts back at Flemington before she had the little spell. So, look, I just think circumstances didn't play out, and she's run into a Cafe Millennium who's almost caused a career best as well. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'll be giving her another chance. I wouldn't be jumping off just off that run, in my opinion.
And maybe that's her level at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, it could be as well, which is still a reasonable level where you'd find she'll find a black type race somewhere, you'd assume. Just needs the right one. Would she be better suited at a Flemington 1,400 metres, perhaps? So it's hard to say, but I'd be giving her another chance in the right setup. And, yeah, I was just going to say, G, the other eye-catcher of the race was the Map.
Yes, I was going to ask that, yeah.
Yeah, I thought she was great. She's produced, she's a 2,000-plus metre horse, 7th fastest last 400 of the meeting out the back. Yeah. I'm not sure what you'd target if you were the owner. So obviously she didn't sell for what they wanted to, so they brought her back into race. So I'm assuming maybe Melbourne Cup, probably not, but maybe on that day she's won that Macca's run, I think it was called before. Yeah. Is that a 2,800 metre race?
There's plenty of options. The Bart Cummings, she could come to Flemington for. There's plenty of country cups like the Bendigo Cup, Geelong Cup. So there's options for her.
Adelaide Cup, I think. I know it's a little while away, but I think they'd be really keen. I think they'd be keen to win that one. I think that was one that was on the sort of bucket list.
Right, horses to follow, mate, in Adelaide and Melbourne for you. Obviously, Celine Gaudray, she rode the house down there on Saturday as well with a treble for Lindsay Park.
Yeah, that was 3 from 3, I'm pretty sure, as well. So, good turning up from her. Look, I had 3 horses, G, to put in the Black Book. Race 4, there was a horse called Inaugural. He hit the line quickly. He was only had one trial in the lead up, so he's much better suited second up and up in trip. So a horse that made ground was an eye catcher. Out of race 5, Travis Downer's got a horse called Beautiful Jewel, who went through an Oaks campaign. She was resuming today, and again, she's another one. I think she hit the line. She was hitting the line nicely. There was a horse, Hot Strut, who fought on and beat her, but I think she'd be better suited up in trip and fitter. And out of race 6, over and under for Aaron Bain. I thought this horse first up as well has good second up form and over more ground. I think up to the 1,200 metres probably with the right setup. The horse was caught wide, so just with a better run, it finishes closer.
Beautiful, mate. Anything in Melbourne that caught your eye?
Yeah, I did hear Pete talking before, and I was similar to him. I'm probably giving Stoli Bowley one more chance, just maybe on a track that suits a little bit better. And a High to Buy, the other one, not High to Buy. What's that horse called?
I know.
Sorry, G, I've got my
I know
Morpheville notes up.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Bear with me. The Dubai horse that...
It runs second.
Bar Dubai for the print. Yeah, it's Bar Dubai. Mick Price, Michael Kent
same
Jr.
sort of thing. I reckon the horse has more to give.
Yeah.
Third up a little bit fitter over some more ground. So they were the two that I was just keeping an eye on to where they go next.
Beautiful, mate. Love your work. Thanks for that, Mitchie boy.
Thank you, mate. Have a good day.
There's Mitchie Lewis looking at South Australia there on Saturday. Check out racingqueensland.com.au for where Queensland is racing today. Chris Nelson is ready to go. G'day, Chriso.
Good morning, Gareth. Great to have you back.
Soft 5, the rail's out 7 metres on Saturday. What'd you make of Eagle Farm and the track?
Look, it was a low-key meeting, of course. I don't think there's any stars went around on Saturday. But look, the track, it played off fence. I think that last race we saw about to explode come through nearer the inside, but not exactly hard against the fence. So off the fence did seem to be the pattern, which surprised me a little bit with the rail out that far. That's not usually the case, but it was. But I don't think it took away any horses' winning chances. Everything played pretty much to plan most races. Results were according to tempo and class, I would have thought.
She's a beauty, Ange Jones.
Yeah, she goes very well.
Yeah. She's in Melbourne on Saturday.
Yeah, she's riding Zarastro.
Correct.
Which is fantastic, and that's a great opportunity for her from Tony Gollan, who of course trained 4 winners on Saturday, and I think he's only a few behind Chris Waller and Kieran Maher at this stage in the national trainers, which is unbelievable. It's a great start to the season. So, 3 for Ange, 2 for Emily Lang, and we had Olivia Webb, another apprentice, another female apprentice, get a winner there too with Trevinson. So, the girls are really doing well at the moment.
Horses to follow from that meeting, mate?
Look, race 8 was interesting. Formal Display is this ex-Irish galloper that was trialled really well and was off the map ever since the prices went up and won. Probably deserved to win. The tempo was there to suit and didn't win by a big space, but I think we'll improve off that. So Formal Display and Larrikin Rogue, the horse that ran second, I think he's close. He needs a bit to go his way, but I think he's close. His 2 runs have been good this time in. And out of the last race, eye-catcher here was the second horse, Viminelli, really motoring home nearer the inside. So that was a very good run. So we'll just stick with those 3 out of the meeting this week, Gareth.
What about Sydney on Saturday? Anything that caught your eye?
Yeah. You know what really caught my eye was Lazura in race 9.
Flying.
And the interview post-race with Chris Waller basically saying she won't win a Group 1, she'll win several Group 1s, and then J-Mac calling her a star. So I think she's been a little bit underrated by most of us. I don't know if she will be going forward, but I thought she was impressive. Obviously, Aliana and Chaya Wolf were massive runs in the Winks, and obviously Via Sistina also. Queen of Clubs out of race 6, I thought hit the line well, looking for further. Yeah,
and a dry track for Queen of Clubs as well. I think Lazura might be hard to beat in Empire Rose.
Yeah, I think Chris Waller said Rupert Clark at Caulfield next, possibly, or at some stage down the track. And in Empire Rose, we are in for a cracking spring, Gareth. I cannot wait.
And it might just be the Waller and McDonald show after watching what happened there.
Started that way, isn't it?
Yeah. Good on you, brother.
Thanks, Gareth. Cheers.
There we go. There's Chris Nelson. Check out racingqueensland.com.au for where Queensland is racing today. Love racing.nz, your home of New Zealand thoroughbred racing news, previews, reviews, profiles and more. It's good to see the Aussies and McDonald and Waller just dominating at the moment. Butch?
Yeah, well, they're probably Aussies after the All Blacks were so poor yesterday. They've probably switched allegiances, to be fair, but I think they'll both sport the black jersey. They're both Kiwis at heart, but yes, they were dominant, and no reason why they won't be for the rest of the spring.
What about Sterling Express there in the Foxbridge Plate?
Yeah, he was massive. I think we might have underrated this horse. He's won 8 from 19 now. Now, that's a good horse's record, but gee whiz, they ran along, and he came from a near impossible position. They just weren't doing that on Saturday, and I don't know what he ran his last bit in, but it would have been phenomenal, this sectional. He was really, really good, and I know they've trimmed his price up. You wouldn't think that he would be able to foot it at weight for age with the Group 1 horses, but what he'll have on his side is the fact he'll be rock hard fit. He's had that run when it comes to the Parcia Plate in 2 weeks' time, so you can't rule him out on what we saw on Saturday. He was massive.
And Tony Pike, you know him well. He's got a good one. I reckon another one.
Yeah, he's got a good one. Quantum Legend, Castelvecchio, son of. Interesting story. $10,000 as a weanling, never went through a yearling sale, fronted up at the Ready to Run sale, and they gave $400 for him. So he obviously developed into a cracking animal, and he is that. Saw him on Saturday in the eye, and look, he just jogged up to them after being caught 3 wide from the wide barrier and never got off the bridle. I know Michael McNabb has an enormous opinion of this horse. They're desperately trying to keep him in New Zealand. He's Hong Kong owned, bought specifically to target the Hong Kong Derby, but you can make a good case that you can race a 3-year-old in New Zealand these days. I mean, you've got a $4 million Kiwi, which he's eligible for, having gone through the Ready to Run sale. There's all sorts of races that he could be eligible for and get his rating right up as well. So, look, they'll try desperately hard to keep him here, and hopefully they can, because what I saw on Saturday, he is a superstar in the making.
And Andrew Forden's got a smart one as well.
Yeah, she was good, El Saurit. She'd won 2 from 2 as a 3-year-old filly, put aside, the last of them on a pretty testing track at Counties. Came back, Money said that she was going to be competitive, and she was. She got going the last little bit, rounded them up pretty easily in the finish. So she's 3 from 3, which is hard to do when they go maiden, rating 65, rating 75. And I know that he's entered her in the Group 1 races, the early entries for the Howden Insurance Mile and the Price Plate and the Liver Mile. Whether she gets there might be a bridge too far and a little early for her, but that's obviously the regard in which he holds her, and we saw on Saturday why.
All right, mate, looking forward to the good races rolling on in New Zealand as well. It's a great time of year. We appreciate your time as always, Butch.
Yeah, we'll send Alabama Express across to you as well, Alabama Lass, and she'll be pretty competitive in whatever she lines up. And while you're on your little jaunt and sojourn, she galloped before the races in a trial at Tarapa, and she was massive. She'll be really competitive.
She heads to Melbourne, doesn't she?
Yeah, she heads to Melbourne. Yep.
Thanks, mate.
Okay, see ya.
There's Butch Castles there. Saki Tunbridge joins us from Bet365. G'day, Zach.
Morning, G. Been a while. How are you?
Been a while, yeah. The 6-horse challenge went off, and it was pretty easy when you look at it. Bloody hell. V. Sistina, Lazura, Glad You Think So, Barraquil, Hard to Cross, and Red Hot Nick. And one customer got it right. 50,000 jumps in.
One customer gets 50 grand, and I guess the roughest of those was Red Hot Nick, and I think Red Hot Nick's had those 2 cracking runs at the Valley too, so in hindsight, it's probably a bit easier to find. I saw 7 got 5 from 6, and they got 1,500 in their account too, so I'm not sure if you were one of them, mate, but it's a no-brainer having a crack at this.
No, it's good fun too. It keeps you interested throughout the day. I love it. It's I think everybody should do it, because if you can get it right, 50,000, you win $1,400 if you got 5 right there on the weekend, and $29 you can put a quarter on if you got 4 right. So it's a bit of fun.
Well, they normally up it up throughout. Yeah, they normally up it during spring too.
Yeah, it's 100,000.
Yeah, so it should get up to about 100 during the big days.
What do they do in those bigger races? V. Sistina, everyone thought she would get out, and she did late in the market, but she was still too good.
Yeah, she was. And look, I mean, props to Randwick being able to run. I thought we were no hope. My house was underwater, everything was, and then it actually ran pretty well. But yeah, V. Sistina, really good, 280. I think it was pretty good. And I heard you speak and talk about Jay Wolf and stuff earlier. I think that's a no-brainer. I think it ran fine. But a couple of futures we had to firm Aliana in a couple of the futures, like the King Charles and the Caulfield Cup and the Cox Plate and stuff. But look, VR, absolute star, right?
Yeah, Aliana will go to a Cox Plate. So the King Charles and the Caulfield Cup, after talking to Chris Waller today, I wouldn't be backing her in those races. If you like her for the Cox Plate, $8 there she is now, which is understandable. I think Charles Wolf out of that race, he's the favourite, isn't he, for the King Charles, but looks like he's come back in red hot form. Autumn Glow, $3 for the Epsom into $2.60. That still could be a good bet.
Yeah, we gave that was a mega boost on the weekend too. We put up $2. I think it was $1.50 when it went off, and a few thousand people were on that. But shortened in the Epsom. We moved it to $3, and that just got taken completely straight away. And it's into $2.60 now for the Epsom. Really short. Obviously shortened in the Golden Eagle and the Empire Rose too. But look, it had to do some work there, but it was pretty good.
Well, that's the race that we know she's going to go to, the Epsom. So that $3 wouldn't have lasted long. So she's into $2.60. I reckon she'll probably go to the Golden Eagle, but it's still a long way out, as Chris Waller pointed out, and they've got options. They can go to Flemington for an Empire Rose with her. And there was even talk that maybe she'll go to a Cox Plate, but there's still plenty to...
Yeah.
Plenty of decisions to be made with her, but we know one thing, she's guaranteed to go to the Epsom. Great time of year, mate. This MZ on Saturday is going to be a beauty.
Yes. What do you think? What are your thoughts with the Memsey?
I haven't got a clue, to tell you the truth. I think Mr. Brightside's going to be the most fascinating horse to see whether he's come back after what happened there in Hong Kong and at his age as well. And we know he loves a 1,400 metre Group 1 there at Caulfield. So he's a watch horse for mine. So is Fangirl. And the weather's a watch a little bit as well. So now bring on the Heath on Saturday. Can't wait for it, Zachy boy.
Very keen. I think another will. I like another will, but we'll see. I'll talk to you during the week.
Did you sack yourself off the weekend preview since I've been away?
Well, mate, I've employed Ben Caluzzi doing a good job. So he's 3 days on .com, and having him in studio is probably just a bit better, I think, than me sitting in a boardroom in Sydney. So, look, he's doing really well. Happy with him. So he's in the multi. The multi did no good this week.
No.
7th, 6th, 6th, and 1st. So I think Mick Gannon got the first, but toughie.
Lucky I'm back anyway. Take control of this bloody multi. Anyway, I'm looking forward to it. Good on you, Zachy.
No worries.
I'm not going to miss a multi for the rest of the spring.
Oh, okay. All right, Mr. Optimistic. All right, we'll go with it.
Thanks, Zach. Zach Tunbridge there from Bet365. Bag of tips.
The Giddy Up Bag of Tips for Oz Equipment Rentals. Supplying equipment to the construction, mining and roadworks industries. OzEquipment.com.
And we'll find you some winners today to kick off your punting week with Bet365 Top Tote Plus. You'll get the best payout across all 3 national totes. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. Thanks to the Ultima Hotel in the heart of the Mallee, just down the road from Swan Hill. Swing by for a cold beer. And Oz Equipment Rentals, supplying equipment to the construction, mining and roadworks industries, ozequipment.com. Our Bet365 boost horse today is race 4, number 1, Ostrata. Mitchy Lewis says it's our best bet there at Pakenham. Luke Ovanessian at Scone likes race 3, number 4, Fantastic Beast. And Chess Time, race 6, number 12. And at Maryborough Trots today, race 1, number 1, Champagnes for Darren Carroll. And race 4, number 6, It's Diamond Creek. And Harness Racing New South Wales, the home of the Carnival of Cups, where Australian music royalty meets quality harness racing action. At Menangle, race 2, number 1, Where's My Reason? Race 7, number 3, She's a Warrawee. Race 9, number 8, Jungle Dragon. And race 11, number 5, Mac Bon. Those are the tips there for Amanda Rando. That is Bag of Tips, thanks to Oz Equipment Rentals and also the mighty Ultima Hotel. It's right on 9:31. We'll take the news and then the Monday means test starting earlier from now on with Wayne Hawkes and Johnny O'Neill to join me straight after the news.
Powered by Signet, here's what's making SEN news. Organisers of yesterday's rallies across the country say support for Palestine is at its highest ever level and more protests are to come. Court today for convicted mushroom killer Erin Patterson for a pre-sentence hearing. She's facing life behind bars for the murder of 3 of her in-laws. A government scheme that would allow first home buyers to put down a deposit of as little as 5% has been brought forward from January to October. And today marks the start of Scams Awareness Week, highlighting the growing risk of online fraud in Australia. Up next, SEN Sport. Brisbane has overcome an inaccurate start to its game against Hawthorn to lock in a top 4 spot. The Lions kicking 8 consecutive behinds in the first term, but eventually running out 10-point winners. And Australia has won the third one-dayer against South Africa. Despite having already lost the series, the Aussies piling on their second highest ever ODI total of 2 for 431.
Melbourne Racing Club members, renew your membership before September 1 to save on early bird.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy Up with Gareth Hall. The Monday Means Test with Wayne Hawkes and John O'Neill.
Monday Means Test is starting a little earlier from now on, just after 9:30. So let's welcome in the team because there is plenty to discuss with the Spring Carnival in full action now. We're still in winter, of course, but we had the Wink Stakes at Group 1 level there on Saturday. Let's welcome in the team, Johnny O'Neill. Great to see you, mate.
Good morning, G. Geez, it's great to see you. Got a little twinkle in your eye too. There's a bit of mail that you might have fallen in Turtle Dove overseas. There's a bit of... You were spotted. We tried to get the paparazzi to get some photos back for the
now you're making
for the
stuff
website.
up again.
No, we're not making anything up. We know you were delayed an extra 10 days, and we're not quite sure why that was the case.
I wasn't
Hawksy,
delayed. Hello.
did you get mail too on that?
Hello to you, Wayne.
Good morning.
Hey, you don't.
I don't kiss and tell.
Don't you? Hey, both you don't.
I don't
start
kiss
with
and
this
tell.
because I can ask you some really heavy
You
questions.
can ask
mate,
whatever you
but
like.
no.
We're fine.
I don't kiss and tell. Good morning.
now-
Good morning.
Good morning, Wayne.
Good morning, John.
What a weekend of racing!
I just got to quickly say it.
that.
I just got to quickly say it. The
Yes.
first week you're away, Johnny came in with Miles. After that, went missing in action. You genuinely don't like Miles, do you?
That's not true.
No, he loves
you
Miles.
were not seen. I was in the studio every week with
I was
Miles.
in Sydney. I did 1 week in Sydney.
You did
then 1
do-
week I was
at
at
the trials.
Canterbury Trials.
You were.
Canterbury
You know,
Trials
Miles
last
did a
Monday.
wonderful job while you were away, my friend.
He's a superstar operator.
Well, he's
Miles.
very good.
Yes, very, very
And he's
good.
very transparent with his relationships with the ladies too. So him and Rachel locked in.
Yes.
Hawksy's locked in with Jane.
Yes.
I'm locked in with Joe, and we're trying to find out who you're locked in with. G? That's what we want to know, mate.
Is there something?
No.
I think there's something going on.
Anyway.
I think there'll be an announcement, ladies and gentlemen, maybe later in the
Stop
month,
talking
getting
crap,
towards Cup Day. here.
Anyway, moving right
Now-
along.
now
It's
tell me-
actually good. It's actually good to have you back, Gareth. Welcome back. Well, remember this for all the old people listening. Welcome back. We love you, Gareth.
We love you,
We
mate.
love you, Gareth. The young people won't even know that.
No.
But Welcome Back, Cotter
Welcome
was a
back.
number one Group 1 show in the 1970s.
Best ever.
There's plenty to discuss.
It was Vinnie
Randwick on
Barbarino
Saturday.
on that show.
Yes,
He was on that.
Do you want to get stuck into the
Let's
men's
go.
test? We'll start off with the King's Gambit. Now, I was weighing up, we were going to touch on Sydney and at Randwick, especially what Chris Waller had to say on my show today, and then it started basically on Saturday morning when he joined Lukey Marlowe on Sydney Radio, and then obviously what happened there on Saturday afternoon. So we'll get to that in just a moment. But my King's Gambit, I was at glorious Goodwood. I went to Goodwood during my time away, and I watched Sphira, and she was brave on that particular day. But this is what she did in the Nunthorpe Stakes, a Group 1 level on Friday afternoon in the UK. This was another proud moment for Australian racing.
As for a light blue sleeves coming up between them. Here's Frost at Dawn the Grey, JM Jungle in the light green, Lady Iman, and then Mum Gira running on. But it's As for in front, deep inside the furlong. Frost at Dawn is chasing hard. Ain't Nobody is flying late, but it's As for as Day in the Sun as she outsprints them to win the Nunthorpe.
So she got a dry surface there. The 1,000 metres at York suits her. Well under Henry Dwyer. He took the punt with her once again. He gets another Group 1. O'Shea Murphy gave her a great ride, and I think it's just great for the game, especially
He's
in
a
this
great
country.
trainer, Henry, isn't he?
Yeah.
And look, he's a wonderful bloke. He's been around for a long time, and I think he was involved in Aquanita or with Robert Smurden in the early days.
Yeah.
So, look, he's had a great grounding. I mean, to go over and win a couple of Group 1 races there, and then everyone was hooting and hollering on Saturday when I think it's Woods. Or
down the
Woodward's hit, got
outside.
the money here and the wet track up
Yeah.
there. So training very well, huge effort to travel over there. And I'm not sure whether his family is still over there with him. but I know
No, they're back.
They're
So,
back, okay.
He's in the air as we speak, Henry, but he'll go to Ireland now to try and win a Group 1 with her in Ireland. And he's just living the dream. Simon Morris, one of the great characters, he's there looking after
He's
her.
a great man too.
He's a great man.
Yeah.
Chanel,
He's an old Smurdy man too, I
Yeah.
think, isn't he, Simon? He worked with him for years.
Chanel Strap has done a wonderful job with his Sphira. And even our old man in Huey Fitzpatrick and his mate Freddie Oldfield, they went to Glorious Goodwood with me, and then they went to York, and they've jumped on the bandwagon. So and they're listening in. They listen to the podcast from London. So well done, boys.
amazing effort to go last year and to win a Group 1, then to go back 12 months later and do it again. It's hard enough to win a Group 1 in the spring or the autumn and then go back 12 months later and do it. Because we've said this many times, it's only the elite horses that actually go on for longer than 18 months, because most horses at the top end only really have a spring and autumn and a spring and then they're done. So, you know what? People say maybe their sprinters weren't as good. You know what? I don't care if care if they're half legless. Travelling horses in the state, I know something about, and travelling them overseas must be some effort. Because for the people that've been lucky enough to get on a Qantas and Emirates or Singapore Airlines and go to Europe, it's a bloody long way. And you're in a horse box, so it's a horse float in theory. You're sitting on a horse float, but it's the driving to the airport, getting to the airport, sitting at the airport, getting stuffed around for a couple of hours, getting put on the back of a cargo plane. And they don't go Singapore for 45 minutes and then direct to Heathrow. They could have 2 or 3 stops, these planes, because they're cargo planes. So the effort to get these horses from one place to the other. So it's the same as the Europeans coming out to Australia. It's an amazing job what they do with the animal. You must have the animal that is working with you. But let me tell you, for all involved, I could not be so super impressed by what they did and how they did it. And to be fair to Henry, mate, he was getting his ass kicked in, and he stood there solid and strong and said, no, we're going good. Wet track didn't work and whatever. Mate, he had every chance to bring his bat and ball home, so I was so happy that he did win. And I have nothing to do with Henry Dwyer, but I was so happy that he actually won the race because of all the effort that they put in was amazing.
Yeah, they're my heroes from the weekend, and Henry's been a great ambassador for Australian racing with the way that he's handled himself and talking to the media over there. So well done to Henry. We'll play Grab from Henry as we go to the break here after he took out the Nunthorpe there at York with his superstar mare as Furor on Friday night. In fact, we haven't got that, but we'll take a break and we'll come back with more straight after this.
I'll start with a whinge. I don't think they should be running.
Sportsbet Caulfield Cup Carnival, October 11 to 18. Pre-sale tickets from just $30. Book now at Ticketek.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy Up with Gareth Hall.
I'll start with a whinge. I don't think they should be running today. I think it's too wet.
Wow.
They're not roulette. They're not. It's not a roulette wheel, but that's how we seem to be treating racing at the moment. But we just got such good prize money, and it's got to come from somewhere, and that is wagering. And unfortunately, the betting turnover drops off Sundays, Mondays. So apparently, it just would have been unfinancial to run on those days. But it's a shame. No one's fault. Like the curators have done a fantastic job. We walked it yesterday, and it's unbelievable. But there's strips on the track where they've been racing the last few months. Like if you hit one of them, you're not going to be running on the same ground as the horse to your inside or your outside. So it just makes it hard. But as I said, the curators have done a great job. The amount of rain we've had, it's just relentless. But as an industry, we've just got to not just make decisions when we're emotional or on days like or weeks like this. We've got to say, look, last month, what were we doing racing on Randwick? What were we doing racing on Rose Hill when we've got all these big races and big names out to race now? And we've just got to respect the tracks, and they don't grow through the winter months. So the curators can only do so much.
So that's Chris Waller talking Saturday morning, then with me this morning on Giddy Up. He was on Sydney radio on Saturday morning, and he said he didn't really want to race on Saturday because it's been too wet in Sydney and he wants to look after the track and for the safety of the horses. And then he went on to have a big day. But it's the debate today here on the means test, because I'll go to you here first, Wayne, because you've been passionate about this.
I have.
With winter racing, do we need to stay away from Randwick and Rose Hill and, say, Flemington in Victoria and allow the other tracks to take a bit more of a workload in the winter and look after our bigger tracks ahead of the spring?
I think so, but I think that's...
So you agree with Chris Waller?
Yes, I do. From a Chris Waller's point of view, I think he deserves all the congratulations. Well done. Because, and I'll tell you why. When you're the leading trainer, and I'm going to say the name that people don't want to talk about, one thing Darren Weir did when he was leading trainer, one thing that Peter Moody has done as leading trainer, very vocal, very forward, and standing up for the people that don't have the voice. And I think that's very important. And well done to Chris for actually standing up and saying what he said. Now, some people will say, oh, you only won with the two superstars in your barn and the third superstar just got beaten, Aliana. That's not the point. Should we be resting the tracks before the Spring Carnival is the question here. Well, I think it goes back one step, because I think what we should be doing is ripping the tracks up and doing it properly. Then we don't have to worry about this issue. 25 years ago, when you went to Randwick, it was amazing. It was like going to Newcastle. So the end result is, whether you like it or not, Moonee Valley is ripping their track up come the day after Cox Plate Day. Do you know Flemington last November started and planted the seed for their 2027 track renovation, 3 years before the clods are going in? So what's going to happen is they're going to rip up the track at Flemington. It's going to take them a couple of weeks to rip it up. It's going to come in like Rubik's Cubes. So instead of being 300 mil deep, they're going to be like 500 mil deep, half a metre deep, and they're just going to plonk them down like, like your checkers or your, that sort of stuff, right? So I've been banging on about this for so long. The only track in Sydney that's any good, is Newcastle. Why? Because it's been re-put down and done properly. Their tracks are horrendous. Flemington's going to cost maybe $5 million. Randwick would cost $10 million to rebuild. Now, if Uncle Peter's got $300 to $500 million in the bank, which he does, what's $10 million? But then we need to do Rose Hill, we need to do Warwick Farm, we need to do Kembla. We should be doing this, Gareth. When you look at, what do you reckon Via Sistina's worth? What's Autumn Glow worth these days? What's Aliana worth? Ole Kirk retired as a $35 million insurance job. That's what he was worth. Didn't we have the Winx foal make $10 million at the yearling sale last year? So for $10 million, now Randwick has to go through more pain than Flemington will, because Flemington have done all their drainage properly and everything like that. So they're just going to rip it up, replonk it back down after 2027's Cup Week, and they're ready to race on Super Saturday. So Randwick would have to go, and I'm assuming redo drainage and have 12 months off. But what you do is, as soon as the autumn carnival's over, it's not the ideal time, but they have no choice. Do it then. Don't race on it again in the spring, and just give it 12 months off. Come back next autumn, right? And then race on it next autumn, and then give it the winter off. That's what we need to do. So Chris doesn't need to worry about how bad the tracks are. Because, yes, Chris is 1,000,000% right. We shouldn't be racing on these tracks. So my argument, long-winded, on Saturday was we should have moved that race meeting to Newcastle on Saturday. I asked someone in the know, and that person said to me, I reckon it would cost the industry $500,000 to move it from Randwick to Newcastle just because of betting turnover, Johnny. So you look at that and you go, is that a better investment than running at Randwick? Randwick, in theory, didn't race Saturday. They went to Newcastle. He might have had 5 or 6 weeks off. So if you lost $500,000 there, that's $500,000 you're putting into your training, upgrade of your tracks.
Yeah, Johnny?
Well, I think from a racing perspective, where everybody that is absorbing the racing at the moment and has done for the last 3 or 4 years and will continue to do so for the next 5 or 10, is in a historical position. We are seeing one of the most elite trainers of all time. Love Chris Waller or hate Chris Waller, the results that he continues to deliver with the horses that he continues to get, and it's fine to say that he's getting a lot of horses and you along have given him some nice horses, but you still have to deliver results with the horses, right? So I think it's time that we sit back, and it's great to have opinions, Gareth. It's good for us all to say, oh, we should race, we shouldn't race, we should do this, we should do that. You've got one of the he's going to go down in history, this bloke, as being one of the greatest trainers of all time. Probably the most successful Group 1 trainer ever.
If he trained 7 7 Golden Slippers and he trained 10 Melbourne Cups, we'd be talking that he's the best ever.
So the point is, listen to what he says. He's got the best stock in the country. He's trying to look after the stock and put on the best show that he can. Yep. He's trying to make sure that people enjoy the racing, owners get a return the way they need to. So if Chris Waller thinks that's the case, we should all be sitting up and listening.
It's interesting.
Not even back, up and
I
listening.
asked him if he's had a chat to Peter V'landys about what he was talking about on Saturday and on my show, and he says not yet. But I reckon Pete might give him a call. I've got to take a break, Hawksy. We'll continue on this chat and also relive that Wink Stakes on Saturday.
Storage. Caulfield Spring Opener, Saturday the 30th of August. $20 tickets at Ticketek.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Great to be with you on this Monday morning. You can watch us live streaming on the SEN app, all thanks to Bet365. We've got our play with Bet365, our boost horse, race 4, number 1 at Pakenham today, Ostrada. $2.30. That'll last for the rest of the show. I highly recommend you take that price. Reece Goodwood prepares. 0499 736 736 to join our conversation. Your yes, yeses, your oh no's, or you might have an opinion on the weekend. Wayne Hawkes has got some information regarding what Tommy Berry told him about the track there on Saturday. And Tommy Berry is always, I love the way that Tommy goes about it. He'll say it how it is, Tommy. So Wayne will have that information for you. We'll have a look back at that Wink Stakes especially. I wonder what Wayne and Johnny have to say about Charwolf now. I don't know if we got that in the archives, what they said before I went away saying that this horse should head to Perth to win a Group 1. Right,
let's go the news. Let's go the news. It's news time. 10 o'clock news time.
Powered by Signet. Good morning, I'm Nath Gardner with SEN News. Convicted triple murderer Erin Patterson is due to arrive at Melbourne Supreme Court this hour for a pre-sentence hearing. Criminal defence lawyer Ruth Parker has told Seven the argument will focus on whether she's granted a non-parole period.
The Supreme Court has the ability to impose a non-parole period, after which she can apply for parole. And so I think that is going to be a major focus of the argument over the next 2 days.
While victims and their loved ones are expected to provide statements on how the deaths of Don and Gail Patterson and Heather Wilkinson affected them. Hundreds of dollars worth of travel vouchers will be given to holidaymakers in South Australia. It's in a bid to help coastal businesses struggling amid the state's toxic algal bloom crisis as part of a $28 million support package. These locals telling Nine it's a great initiative.
Yeah, we've bought them previously and have used them. I reckon they're really good way of getting people out in the community.
No, I think it's a good idea. Get people back down here in Glenelg especially and help stimulate the economy. So it'd be a good idea.
Just over a week since Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin met, there's been no sign of the conflict between Ukraine and Russia coming to an end. Dozens of flights into Vietnam have been cancelled as a powerful typhoon bears down on the country's central coast. And an Aussie fan has been booted out of the US Open tennis for persistently interrupting the first round match between Australian Jordan Thompson and France's Corentin Moutet. Coming up, sen.com.au sport. As mentioned, opening round of the US Open tennis is underway. Jordan Thompson is leading his French opponent 2-1, while fellow Aussie Rinky Hijikata lost to Italian Luciano Dardiri in straight sets. And in golf, the wait is over for English golfer Tommy Fleetwood, who has won his first PGA Tour title, winning the Tour Championship, pocketing $10 million.
Caulfield comes alive with Group 1 racing at the SEN Caulfield Underwood Stakes. Tickets just $20 at Ticketek.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy Up with Gareth Hall.
Yes. Yeah, we're live, Wayne. We're live.
Mate, this is live.
And we're
live.
streaming live on
Beautiful.
the SEN app, all thanks to Bet365.
Geez, I wish all the stuff in when the breaks go, we could sort of put that stuff to
0499
air.
736 736 to join our conversation.
You single ladies, there's a big issue for you. There's no Gareth availability.
Stop lying.
We're getting the mail.
Stop lying. Hey, what did Tommy Berry have to say about the track?
Righto, so I rang Tommy Berry this morning. We were having a discussion in the tower at Flemington, and it was proposed that they were running quite good times. And I'm back in the day, the stewards would just about hold up race 5 after race 4. They'd put the galoshes on, they'd go walk the track, go walking with jockeys, and then decide what the track was rated. Don't get me going about the ratings 1 to 10 because they need to get the flick. They need to get the tier 1 of brass. It needs to be good, yielding, soft.
Gareth's
heavy.
done that with the girls 1 to 10 too. He's flicked them. He's just got the number 1 now.
So what is going to happen is that it's a heavy 10, right? But the times are great. Well, that's the winners' times. Go and ask the people that didn't handle it. Go and ask the people that are down the track. And so the argument was just spoken about in the track this morning. And I actually rang Tommy Berry and said, "You're here with the boys." I said, "How was the track?" He said, "Bottomless." He said, "It was terrible." I said, "Was it?" He said, "Yeah, it was a heavy 10, but it wasn't good." I said, "But what about the times that they were running?" He goes, "Mate, if that had been 2 weeks ago with inferior horses, we would have been running Scheisenhausen times." So it was only because the good horses were running and winning that the times actually looked better. So it was very, very heavy. So to go on from what Chris was saying, because people will say, hang on, you've had a Sook Saturday morning, your great horses have come out and won on Saturday, what are you complaining about? Well, I guarantee you one thing as a horse trainer, I'm not saying it might be Chris's horses, there will be horses from that race meeting on Saturday that won't have pulled up well, and you won't know this until you run them again because it will have flattened them a bit. Oh, but then why don't you run next week? I mean, can I say what we just said? Light infantry command. You were talking about light infantry man on the in the ad break, and Johnny said to me he never went a yard. And so people say, well, why did you run? But the problem is sometimes you have to run because you want to run in 3 weeks' time, then 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. If you don't run and say decide to come to Melbourne for the Memsey, that's definitely an option, but it might stuff up the rest of your plans, Gareth. So
him handling a wet track was never going to be an issue. He won on a very, very heavy yielding ground overseas.
But these different types of
heavies. But it's very, very different types of heavies, absolutely. So it was sticky.
And that's why the numbers aren't quite right.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
agreed.
Because once it gets to around the heavy range, whether it's heavy or bottomless, it's still heavy.
So it's. I asked Chris Waller today. He would have went to those races on Saturday with Autumn Glow and Via Sistina and Aliana, knowing that regardless of the conditions, their class is going to make sure that they run big races. But he might have won the Wink Stakes, but he could have lost the Cox Plate by starting those horses first up on that track. And you might have lost Light Infantry Man for the rest of his prep.
Righto. So I'll say this to you, blokes. Yeah. What if all those good horses, and there's 4 or 5 top of the tree, like Sistina, Aliana and Autumn Glow are in everyone's top 5 or 6 in the country. If they're not, you got your head ready.
Yeah, agree.
Be fair, right?
Yep.
What if they all got scratched? And then next week, they get scratched again because it's wet. That was back in the day when Winks and Chautauqua were running alternative weekends because it was a heavy, bottomless year that year. The tracks aren't good enough. And where we're winning is these great horses are still running. So we're getting them. So my point is, what if all those good horses in the last 5 years were hope it was Vo Rogue? I don't reckon he was a wet tracker. Every now and then you get one. Scalacci's probably one of the most famous.
So are you saying then if we talk about Randwick and Rose Hill and listening to what Chris Waller said,
it's not just about Randwick and Rose Hill.
No, I know that. I get it.
Like
but I'm just talking about Randwick and Rose Hill, right? Where predominantly, I know Warwick Farm they do as well, but predominantly the Group 1 races are run on those tracks. Are you saying with all of the rain that we had,
200 mil,
if we had redone those tracks, and we hadn't have run on them, or we had run on them sparingly, that those tracks would have been in better condition with the 200 mils of rain?
Well, they have to be. It just has to be. Look what happened when Edward Cummings had that great mare. What was her name? couple of years ago.
Duas.
And she won the day, the Group 1 at Newcastle.
Yeah.
I mean, the track looks fine. To look at the track on Saturday, you think, wow, it actually looks good. It's not the curator's fault. Well done to Chris Wallace saying it wasn't the curator's fault. But we've actually, why are they coming down the middle of the
All
track?
right, so we've got to move on from this. I've got two more quick answers, Wayne.
Okay,
so
go.
what about if you've got a horse that loves a heavy 10 and you've set it for the Wing Stakes?
How many love a wet track like that?
Paul
Arapaho, run third.
Yeah.
But the point you're making is right.
And yes, I get that. But that happens though, doesn't it? When they transfer from a Warrnambool meeting to the Poly track in Melbourne, there's very few. There'd be catering for the majority here, not the minority. Is the answer.
And the other question I've got for you, and you both might not know this, is that it's a heavy 10 when they announced it on Saturday morning.
Yep.
So if you
which was good, well done.
So you want to race V Sistine, or Briasa was racing on that day, and you've got to take the punt and you run.
Yep.
And then Tommy Berry comes back and says, "Mate, or Tyler Schiller, geez, you don't want to be running that horse on that track."
We're allowed to scratch.
Are you allowed to scratch?
No, we're not. No, we're not.
So what happens there?
So that's a good call.
No, that's actually a fair point. That's actually a fair
So what's the penalty then?
I think when you get to a 10,
upgrade or downgrade, you can. But if it doesn't change, which it didn't, you wouldn't be able to.
But if I think it gets as bad as it can get on our rating system, and a horse or a jockey has ridden a race prior, he should be able to go into the stewards with the trainer and say, this is definitely
you would
worse
go to
than
the
what we
stewards
thought.
before race 1 or that morning and say, listen,
this is what we want
if
to do.
J-Mac rides in the first couple and says it's no good, I don't reckon horse X is going to handle it. That's the way you'd actually
because otherwise you can never put a 10 up. You can only ever put a 9 up.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So what are the rules if you scratch and there's no downgrade? Do you have a penalty for 7 days? What is it?
No, Ray Murray back in the day was anti. Once you scratch on a wet track, you can't run on a wet track again. But that's not quite fair because my first Group 1 winner as a trainer was a horse called Fumicino, and he ran in the Ranvet and skated around it. 2 weeks later, he went back for the BMW and he flew down the outside and he won. And it was the same heavy track, but it wasn't the same.
No. And the problem,
different. One was skatey and one was deep.
And the problem
that was one of Nick's, wasn't it? Nick Morotis?
Yeah. The problem is Rose Hill heavy track's different to a Randwick heavy track.
But so's Flemington, different to Sandown, different to Moonee Valley, and that's why the numbers, we're getting too bogged down on the numbers.
10 minutes past 10, we'll take a break and we'll come back and have a chat about Via Sistina.
Caulfield comes alive with Group 1 racing at the SEN Caulfield Underwood Stakes. Tickets just $20 at Ticketek.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
Now Via Sistina's got the big gap, and here she comes. Down the outside is Gringotts, and further back to Arapaho making ground. Via Sistina raced up now. Hits the lead. Aliana's racing home well on the inside. Via Sistina in front from Aliana. Via's got a dig. Via neck in front. Aliana's driving, but Via Sistina goes back to back in the Wing Stakes. Won it by a neck to Aliana.
What a horse she is, Johnny O'Neill. She just keeps on winning.
Never seen anything like it, mate, to be honest.
What about Winks?
Well, I mean, she was just completely out of the box, Winks. We clearly get that. But this is the closest horse to Winks I've ever seen.
Yeah.
As you know, I was very lucky to have a little share in Very Elegant. But just to see her win on what we all thought was going to be an unsuitable track, over 1,400, I think everyone was pretty upbeat about the sort of the mile second up being the Mackay and then probably third up into the Turnbull, back into the Cox Plate, and probably the 2,000 the last day. But I just can't see, I mean, there'll be so much improvement in her. That's the way Chris trains those horses. Was just an extraordinary ride from James. It's interesting, when you've got a great connection and you've got so much confidence in horses, everyone was pretty clearly coming down the middle of the track rather than sort of getting up near the rail, but he sort of saved a bit of ground as he should have, James, but rode the best horse in the race and got the money. So I didn't think he could win over 1,400. Clearly I've got no idea, and clearly what I will say is, for a person that's got no idea, I think wherever it goes, Chris has probably got a
Mackay Diva Turnbull into a Cox Plate.
Well, he's got control over it, and he probably runs 1, 2, 3 in the Cox Plate. He probably wins with Aliana, and I still think Autumn Boy with no weight is going to be a Cox Plate horse, so he probably runs a try.
I think we learned something with Via Sistina as well. And this could be a lesson for everybody in a way, that she failed in a Mackay Diva because it rained during that day.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So what was the go that day?
Because it was too slippery. It was raining during the day.
Well, there you go. That was my point from before, wasn't
and
it?
J-Mac said that. Yep. And then he goes, if she can get some footing, she's okay. And she proved that at Ascot before she came here. She was third in a champions race there at Ascot before she arrived in this country. I reckon we all thought she would handle a rain-affected track at Flemington, but it was slippery and she never...
But the difference is, though, it stopped raining on Friday night.
Correct, yes.
And it didn't rain on race day.
Yep.
When it rains on race day, they are so different, those tracks, to when it is previously.
I spoke to Kieran on Saturday morning about Gringotts, and I said, look, I think we'll have the mare covered over 1,400. He said, what are you talking about? It's a wet tracker. It'll handle a wet. Don't worry about that.
Gringotts went pretty good,
I said,
I thought.
Yeah, he went good. But I said, no, we'll beat the good mare. He goes, mate, you've gone mad.
Yeah.
You've gone mad. It's a superstar.
Yeah.
So,
so Aliana was second. I asked Chris Waller today, why would you lean towards a Cox Plate over a Caulfield Cup?
Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, so he'll go to a Cox Plate.
Is she favourite in the Caulfield Cup?
Yeah.
She would be,
you can't back her in a Caulfield Cup. But, Johnny, you had that experience with Waller regarding Very Elegant.
I think he's all about providing longevity for these horses.
Yeah, that's what he said.
And he was always the same with Very Elegant. We sort of dominated towards the end of the 3-year-old staying races with her, and then we were all keen to go to Caulfield Cups and go to the better races, and he just took his time. He just said, look, just allow them to grow into themselves and we'll look after them, and that's just his training process. So I must admit, I thought he would go to the Caulfield Cup this year. I thought he'd bypass the Cox Plate, knowing that Via's probably got a stranglehold on that, I would have thought, and then give her a really, really light spring and then come back in the autumn, which is what he normally does. But, if he's going to do that, we're just trying to work out a bit of a program for her. Does she go to the Mackay being a mile?
There's a $1 million race.
Yeah, it's the Hill Stakes, but I think it's 2,000.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether you're going to go from 7 to 2,000.
And I'll tell you why the Epsom. Because when you look at most Epsoms today, it's not the race that it was 20 years ago. The Epsom definitely has dropped off. It's still a Group 1 with a lot of money. But what you find in the Epsom is there's only about 3 horses that carry more than 55 kilos. Every year it's the same. And it's a pretty even race. I'm not saying it's weak, it's pretty even. She's not going to get hammered by the handicapper. She's going to come in with about 55 kilos. She's a 3-year-old filly that's won a derby against her own age.
Yeah.
Right? She's gone out of her sex, but it's against her own age. She hasn't won a Group 1 against the older horses yet. So
she will. She will.
No. But we're talking about the Epsom. So in theory, I mean, she could run in an Epsom and get in because an Epsom is still a Group 1 race, and as I said, it's a race that hasn't been as strong. But I reckon this might be the year where it might end up being a very, very strong race.
So that's a month. That's a month between runs. 5 weeks between runs. So where does she go between now and the Epsom?
That's what he'll do with Via Sistina. She'll have 4 weeks between runs before the Maccabi Diva.
But after Saturday, they could go and have the farm for a week. They could have a mess around, whatever. Remember, they've had hard runs on Saturday. Or they win and it was easy.
I agree.
No, it's not easy. They are proper gut
So if she goes to the Epsom second up,
Eliana, she could. I don't know what she is.
No, I'm just saying if she
throwing
does.
something out.
Yeah, if she does, that's October 4.
And then she goes to the Cox Plate. That's what Winks did.
Which is October 25.
But whether
so she can have 3 weeks between runs and so she'll be third up in a Cox Plate.
Yeah.
Or she might run again. Who knows? But the bottom line is he's not going to run it. He says he might not run her. What did he say? He's not or he might not?
No, I don't think he'll run her in a Caulfield
Cup. What did
he
say?
Yeah, he said he prefers to go to the Wait for Age campaign with her.
And so you asked those questions. And so the question you asked off air, what was it? Do you remember the question you asked off air? What's the difference between running the Cox Plate and running in a Caulfield Cup? Now, I suppose it's the extra 400 metres is probably the answer when you look at that. And as I've said 1,000 times, I'm talking about the most horses, not the exceptions, and these are the exceptions. Most horses, once they turn 4, don't do a job at 4. It is that simple.
Yeah.
So you said Chris was very easy on them when they turn 4, but if you're looking at the actual individual horse, you're looking at that horse and you're going, gee, you've got improvement. You're still not there yet. I'm putting 30 kilos on you over summer. So maybe Chris is, and I don't know, I don't even know what Eliana looks like, right? But maybe she's not the full furnished package, and he doesn't want to stretch her out to a mile and a half yet.
So either Via
because
or
they
it'll
might
go to...
think that she's not a mile and a half horse. Hang on, you won the Derby. I'll give you the greatest living proof about a horse that won a Derby that was a proper sprinter. Mahogany. Mahogany could sprint. Mahogany could stay. Mahogany ran second at Cox Plate.
Yeah.
So sometimes when these 3-year-olds are winning derbies, Gareth, they come back and they're not mile and a half seasoned horses. So maybe that's the thought process of one or the other.
I reckon Eliana will go to the Maccabi and Via won't. There you go. Older mare, you'll probably give it a bit more time, which means the younger mare can go to the Maccabi on the 13th of September, which is 2.5 weeks ago.
The 7 stakes, that's where she'll go, Eliana, the 7 stakes.
Right, okay.
Which is $1 million race.
Do you know what the amazing thing is? And I've been in this situation.
Is that the old Hill Stakes? The 2000?
No, the Hill's the Hill.
Yeah, the 7 stakes is that.
Is it a mile race?
1,400, I'm pretty sure.
Right, okay.
I tell you what's amazing, right? You want these good horses, and then when you get the good horses, then you're pulling your bloody hair out. Where the hell am I going to go?
How would you be
what
trying
am
to
I
map
going
it
to
out? My God.
So it's funny because when you don't have them, you wish you had them, and then when you've got them, it's a different ballgame because what you're trying to do is you're trying to actually make the perfect decision every single time, and we're not all perfect, and we're all human, and we all get it wrong, and then we're working with an animal that can't talk to you, so sometimes...
The Hill Stakes 1,600 metre race on the middle part of September. That's 1,600. That's where she'll go. And then she could go to Victoria after that, maybe to a Turnbull.
Used to be 19 for sure.
19, I reckon it was.
Yeah.
Great position to be in for them.
100%.
Other than, or do the owners of Eliana say, we've nearly got her measure Via Sistina. Let's just take her on full noise all the way through.
Yeah,
they're different connections.
They'll be
different
splitting
connections.
up.
You don't know that.
No, Chris wants to split them up.
I know Chris wants to split them up.
Hey,
maybe
the interesting to go through.
Maybe the owners say no.
Through these Group 1 races and just have a look what a sort of stranglehold Chris has got on.
Can I quickly say for 10 seconds? How good is racing at the moment with these great horses coming back? We've got a lot of good young horses coming through. A lot of good 3-year-olds have just turned 4. I reckon this is going to be as fat as we've had for a long, long time at the top end.
Now, I want to play you some comments you two buffheads made before I went on holiday about Char Wolf. Char Wolf doesn't look like he'll meet Via Sistina maybe in the Winks, which is coming up in August, the first of the Group 1s of the season, but that's about it.
If I trained it, it'd win 3 Group 1s this time in Hawksey.
If you trained
it,
yep.
If you trained it, what Group 1s?
It'd go to the Toorak with plenty of weight and win. Then I'd send it to Perth and it'd win the railway, and it'd win the 2000. The race that lied in
disrespectful,
John.
No,
please, mate.
No,
he's
probably not
won't
wrong.
get within 100 yards of Via Sistina.
Well, it's not going to. It's
going to have to.
Via Sistina's going to the Cox Plate, different pass.
So where's it going to go?
King Charles is its main aim.
Yeah, well, it'll get lapped.
Oh,
it won it last
So
time.
what I need,
it's not going as good. It's not going as good as what it was.
And
Joe had a crack at
and I will say. So what I'd like to say,
Yes.
Gareth,
What would you like to say?
What I would like to say here is if it did go to those 3 Group 1s, it would all win them quite easily.
But
I would
was your point.
guarantee 3 Group 1s. Having said that...
So you're wrong.
It's definitely in my own no because I'm wrong. Because the run on the weekend, and Wayne may talk about it, he went through and we had a look at the video before.
Play the oh no.
No, Johnny's wrong. Oh no, Johnny is wrong.
Righto. Thank you. So what I need to do is I'm probably going to buy Joe Pride a beer.
No, you won't, because he doesn't want to be in the same state as you idiot.
So what I'd like to say, Joe, is, geez, it's a good horse.
You better FedEx his beer if you're going to die and buy him.
I will say that I think that Via Sistina is clearly the best horse in the country, and we've said that for a couple of years. Chris has got a stranglehold on a number of these races.
John, we're talking about Chia Wolf, brother.
But Chia Wolf's run on the weekend, whether Chia Wolf was in the better ground out wider, I'm not sure. But I will say, and Hawksy went through the tapes before and gave me a really good look at it. So I don't want to steal your thunder here, Wayne, but I will say that James rode Via extremely well. Who rode Aliana?
Jason Collett.
Okay, he rode it very, very well too. I think Chad was on Chia Wolf.
Yep.
He sort of went to make a move and then changed his mind, and I think the other guys sort of pinched some runs up on the inside. I think he was going to go back to the inside, and then he decided to swing wide.
This is what Joe Pride had to say. Do you want me to read this?
Read it.
He said, there's been so much said about the ride on Chia Wolf yesterday. This is on his X platform.
Oh, okay, there you
Plan was to ride him forward, but the horse in capital letters bungled the start. Chad made a split-second decision on the corner, which he was the first to admit was incorrect. Next start in the Chelmsford, and Chad will ride.
Okay, well, I'll just let you know. The run was huge. We didn't know that. The run was huge. And if it is able to reproduce that, I'm still sticking that Via Sistina is a better horse, but it's gonna knock a lot of horses out of the way.
Would you be backing the King Charles $5 equal favourite?
I would
with Vanguard?
certainly be having something on, and I will be, and I might even send a little. I might have to send a care package to some of the staff so they don't throw rocks at me if I'm up there.
It's a good. Hey,
They'll
it's
rock
good
throw
for
you.
racing. Chia Wolf is doing what he did there on Saturday, Wayne.
Huge.
Well, I didn't know what was put out yesterday, and I had the iPad up and I was showing Johnny. He was on Via Sistina's back, and he went to go out wide with Gringotts, and then he couldn't go, so then he half grabbed a hold again and waited, and then the difference was that Collett and J-Mac went up the inside. Yeah. They did a bit of a golden slipper. They went up the inside like J-Mac did on Woderton, and Chia Wolf went via the car park and some. And so before you knew it, Via Sistina and Aliana were close to the leader. Chia Wolf was still back, going sideways. Chia Wolf's run home, he ran home and probably had the last 100 where he flattened out, but gee whiz, from the 400 to the 100, I mean, even you know what Johnny said? Wow, am I going to eat my words? So, and I said to Johnny, I don't know whether he was told to go out wide. Some horses like coming down the outside. He should have stayed up the inside, rode for luck. Because the other thing is, on a good deck, you're more chance of picking up ground, even if you are chasing the great horses. On a heavy track, to make up that amount of ground, there's no doubt the best run of the race was Chia Wolf. I know he didn't win, so we only talk about winners in theory, but he was definitely the best.
Is he a miler, G? Does he get any further?
King Charles is the aim.
Yeah, okay. And then from there, where do they go?
I think to the paddock.
So are you back on the Chia Wolf?
Yeah, I'm on the bandwagon.
You're back on again?
I'm back on it.
Yeah,
what about the mile the last Saturday?
Yeah, he could come to Flemington for that. Yeah,
big horse there, it'd be good. I'm on the bandwagon.
Well, he's going to follow the same path he followed last spring.
I'm bowing my
and he
head.
won.
I'm bowing my head. He's a very nice horse. Very good horse.
Well, there you go, Joe Pride. That's a first. Johnny O'Neill's admitted he was wrong.
Well, you know.
Well, my oh-no obviously is the state of the tracks in Sydney. Do you have an oh-no, Gareth?
Not quite.
Hang on. You do have an oh-no.
What?
Gareth Hall, folks, was supposed to be on air at 8:30 on Saturday morning.
Correct.
And Gareth Hall got off a plane at 7:15 from Europe. Is that correct?
No, the plane was delayed.
Did you get off the plane at 7:15?
Yeah, and I didn't miss a beat either. I was still on air at 8 o'clock. They just rang me on the phone while I was in the taxi, and I turned up like it was...
Poor bugger. Plane was 4 hours late.
Yeah, it was like it was...
The concern was it wasn't that we were worried about. You're supposed to be back a week and a half earlier, but you were holding hands in bloody Croatia with someone. That is the mail.
Were you hand swinging?
You were hand swinging.
You a hand swinger?
Definitely
I work
hand swinging.
6.5 days a week, and we must have mucked up the dates.
The mail is
we're
you were
back.
under the doona a lot of time when you were away. You didn't see too much.
Like your opinion with Charles Wolf, you couldn't be more wrong.
You didn't see too much of the coast. That's my mail.
We'll take a break. We'll come back and talk about Autumn Glow.
Hand swinger.
Powered by Signet, making SEN News headlines. Victim impact statements to be read out at convicted mushroom killer Erin Patterson's pre-sentence hearing today in Melbourne. From October, around 70,000 first home buyers will benefit from the federal government's 5% deposit scheme. Dozens of flights into Vietnam have been cancelled as a powerful typhoon bears down on the country's central coast. And the peak radio body for Australia wants legislation to ensure easy access to the radio in all cars, with new vehicles increasingly reliant on streaming services. Coming up next, SEN Sport. The Western Bulldogs will continue training up until at least midweek, with finals hopes hanging by a thread after a 15-point loss to Fremantle. The Dogs will miss the 8 if Gold Coast beats Essendon on Wednesday night. And Australian Jordan Thompson is through to the second round of the US Open after a 3-1 victory over his French opponent. Fellow Aussie Rinky Hijikata is packing his bags after a straight sets loss.
Melbourne Racing Club members, renew your membership before September 1 to save on early bird.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy up with Gareth Hall.
McDonald gets to work on Autumn Glow. He just needs a bit of galloping room here as Gangster Granny takes the lead. Autumn Glow pushes back to the inside. Hyder by the outer. Gangster Granny a length in front. Now Autumn Glow, she's starting to open up the shoulders. And here she comes. Autumn Glow went on past Gangster Granny. And Autumn Glow remains unbeaten. 5 out of 5. Beating Gangster Granny and Hyder by...
So she's the curiosity horse, Autumn Glow. If you owned her, Johnny, what would you aim her up at?
I'd ask Chris Waller.
Wayne, if you trained her,
I'd be letting him do it. I'd be letting him do it.
Johnny and I spoke about this before we come on air, and it really depends on what they think she is, because there's definitely theory to say you keep her at sprints, but is she more of a miler? And only they'll know that because they train her. So great position to be in. She's high class.
Proper horse.
And the other thing is, she, correct me if I'm wrong, but she had knee chip surgery.
Correct.
Knees are a bugger of a thing because there's not a lot you can do for knees. You could inject them and that sort of stuff, right? But it's only short acting. So to come back from a knee operation, it's a massive tick.
Yeah.
It is a good horse in the making. And yet again, where do we go? What do we do? What a great position to be in. And come in the corner, we were swinging with Gangster Granny, and she didn't look like she was travelling that well, Autumn Glow. I thought, oh, here we go. And Tyler let Gangster Granny slip, and away she went. But if you just watch the Autumn Glow the last 300 metres, she was just stalking Gangster Granny and just went past her and just got the job done. She's a top-class horse.
She's $2.60 now for the Epsom. You can guarantee that's where she will go.
Is she? Right.
Yeah. So
they're thinking she's a miler.
Yeah.
Right.
But then they've got a decision to make. Do you drop back and try and win a Golden Eagle? Do you come to Flemington for the Carnival? Or she is a daughter of the Autumn Sun, and they haven't completely ruled out a Cox Plate with her.
Or do you go the paddock and look after her and bring him back in the autumn?
You'd have to.
That's probably what he does.
I would
She's
go
back off knee surgery, right?
One thing Chris Waller always does, always, less than more.
Yeah.
He never gives them that one extra run. You name a horse he gives one extra run to that he shouldn't have. He always runs them
The
less than
Golden
more.
Eagle, it's the richest race from...
I know that.
Yeah.
I know, and you only get one crack at it and
Yeah.
all that sort of, I get that. But the difference is late in the season. You're up and you're going in middle of August, which she is, to last until, nearly November.
Yeah.
It's a long... You've had a miss. What's going on
We
with
got
your
something
earphones,
going on
Gareth?
there. No, he's
What's
used
going
to-
on with your earphones,
Anyway,
Gareth?
so I think she goes to the Epsom, and then I would imagine
Great position to be
the
in.
Golden Eagle. Like people say, the Everest is the world's richest race on turf, but from an owner's perspective, because you don't have to share it with any of the slot holders. It's the race that you'd love to win from a financial point of view. That's the Golden Eagle. We'll take a break. It's 10:36. We'll come back with plenty more. I want to have a chat about the Memsie coming up on Saturday, and with the pressure index, I think Mr. Brightside's an interesting runner as he comes back this spring after what happened there in Hong Kong at his last start. This is the Monday Means Test. Johnny O'Neill, Wayne Hawkes joining me, Gareth Hall, on this Monday morning.
Sportsbet Caulfield Cup Carnival, October 11 to 18. Pre-sale tickets from just $30. Book now at Ticketek.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy Up with Gareth Hall.
Past the protocols, the veterinary protocols, he had a little fracture last year and we put a screw in, and horses with screws aren't allowed to run in Melbourne. So that's fair. At least we know where we're going before we leave and, get down there and find out, you shouldn't have come. But, they're their rules and they're there for a reason. So, But so far he's been very good and sound for us, except for that one little mishap.
Do you have a team?
So that's Willie Mullins talking about Ethical Diamond, who won the Ebor at York, which is an automatic qualifying race for a Melbourne Cup. But as Willie pointed out, because that horse had a screw, it won't be coming to the Melbourne Cup, which is unfortunate. Serb's still coming, it looks like, for Willie if he does everything right.
Can't we put screws in horses' legs and race them in
Obviously
Australia?
not, no.
Maybe for those
not
races.
For the Melbourne Cup because they don't pass the scan. Now, I had the privilege to go and have a look at Ballydoyle with Aidan O'Brien and have a look at Coolmore. The facilities at Aidan O'Brien's and Coolmore's training complex at Ballydoyle are quite amazing, like unbelievable. And watching Aidan O'Brien at work was a privilege because he's just a remarkable man with a remarkable record. And yes, as he pointed out, he does get some beautifully bred horses from Coolmore to prepare each and every year. But
some.
Yeah. He takes a week off, basically. He's there every morning and he doesn't miss a day. He knows those horses like his own children. He knows everybody that works for him. He's just an amazing man. And as I said, it was a privilege to be there. But when I was at Ballydoyle, they like do all the 1%ers like you wouldn't believe. The facilities are unreal. And you watch how they train at Newmarket and different parts of Europe. The reason why Aidan O'Brien probably won't bring a horse here to Australia, it's not just that he disagrees with the vet protocols, and that's a different argument, but you can't have these horses going to Werribee after how they train these horses in the UK and also Ireland. It's not fair on them. You got to get back to Sandown, Wayne.
I don't know where we need to go, but you can't have
them
I'm not
at
stealing
Werribee.
your thunder here, Gareth,
No.
but how many times have I mentioned this to you over the years on radio?
Yeah.
Werribee as a showcase for our internationals is not good enough. It's as simple as that. Werribee has been there for 15 to nearly 20 years now. I mean, it's probably been there longer than you think. So it was a band-aid because of the issues that we had at Sandown, but it's still not the right answer. So the report is that we're not probably going to be going to Mickleham out there with the training facilities from Flemington out there. So if we were moving out the other side of the airport next to William Inglis, then your Werribee would go there. So now the big question for Racing Victoria is, what are we actually going to do? Are we going to keep Sandown? Are we going to keep? Well, the question is, are we going to keep the Werribee? Are we going to Sandown?
Werribee.
What are we doing?
You can't,
because at the end of the day, the bottom line is what you're saying is how hard he works his horses going to Werribee, and he does work them hard. Let's not deny that he works them hard, but they're trained on farms. They're not trained in stables, and they are, but they're not. If that makes sense. The other thing that they do is, and my father pointed this out to me many years ago. He said, you go to the Hunter Valley and you look at all these great stallions that come from Europe. He said, they're magnificent. He said, I've got 3 that look like that and 200 that don't. He said, Aidan's got a row full of horses that are the most magnificent looking horses you've ever seen. They are the number 1 draft picks and they're impeccably bred. So they're big, strong, tough horses that can handle work, and they can also handle the vigours of being trained hard, and that's how he does train.
I think
so going to Werribee, you can't do that.
I think what we've learnt over the journey, and we've been really lucky to have travelled around the world and seen a lot of stable setups and facilities and the way the horses are trained. It just shows when you are buying international horses, or whether they're travelling out here to run in our better races, how mentally tough those horses have to be able to acclimatise to the way that we race here in Australia. So, we're fortunate we can go to Flemington and there's a heap of boxes there, and you can go to Pakenham and you can go to Sandown. That just doesn't happen.
I'll tell you quickly, let me jump in how it works. Aiden does not jump him out in the golden slipper at Ascot. Hunt him the first corner. Ease up. Take a sit. Wait. Rip out wide. Rip down the outside in the 1,200 metre race. That's not what they do. Yeah. We're like Hong Kong and Singapore and those sort of jurisdictions. Over there, they don't do anything like we do.
They don't.
Flop out the gates,
and the point that
take
you're
your
making,
time,
I can remember being
faster.
Years and years and years ago and seeing a couple of strings of horses going out all in, and we're doing it now too. Everyone's much more professional, wearing similar colours or whatever it may be. But you get one rider generally to two horses. They start working at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning. They do their work, whether it be slow, fast, and then they go for a ride for 15 to 20 minutes up through the hills. Then they bring the horses back. They all sit back and have breakfast collectively together, and then they go out in the second tranche an hour and 15 minutes later. Whereas you go to Flemington, how many horses work at Flemington?
Well, you 700, but you want to work them all within half an hour.
This is the point,
trying to
right?
work. And that's
so
just
mentally, they've got to be so strong. You can buy horses with the most incredible ratings, but they just do not settle into our training facilities.
Your original point is about Werribee. So you would have to bring the horses out from Europe very fit. That's the bottom line. They're not coming out here and working into it. They've got to be pretty fit because Werribee is compared to what they're used to at Ballydor is obviously not in the same class. And that's not bagging Werribee because Werribee's Werribee. Yeah. But when you're comparing to Ballydor, you're talking MCG to, Ballarat South footy club. Yeah. And that's what you're doing. So the question is, Avia won't like me saying it again, but what are you doing with Werribee? What is the contingency plan going forward? Quickly, the grey horse, we talked about going to Japan once, and Tommy... Yep, I can't say it anymore. Tommy Berry said, where would we go? And it was a training facility, wherever it was in Japan, and Tommy went, I've been there, and it's not of the best quality, and so we actually just canned it right there and then because of the training facilities weren't going to be up to scratch.
We're going to take a break. We'll come back and wrap up the means test. We've got plenty of text messages to go through as well, and we'll have a chat about the Memsey coming up at Caulfield on Saturday.
Storage. Caulfield Spring Opener, Saturday the 30th of August. $20 tickets at Ticketek.
Live across Australia on SEN Track. Giddy Up with Gareth Hall.
Welcome back to Giddy Up with our yeses. Just quickly,
Yes.
well done to Moonee Valley. I think the track's played pretty well since they've come back.
Well, we've got a new track manager, haven't we? We've got the man from Rose Hill.
Were you here on Saturday?
Yes.
Did you watch those races?
Yeah.
Okay. Righto.
What do you think?
Well, it's played the same way it always played. You get up,
Well,
you had to be up near the lead.
Yeah, that's as expected with the roll.
that's true.
5
Yeah,
metres.
correct.
That's
So
why
it played.
but that's why they're ripping it up, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's how
Barrack
it always
Will,
plays.
what a warrior
It's good.
he is.
Unbelievable.
1,000 metres,
Incredible.
he'll go to the Moy. I don't know if he's got that sprint in his legs to win a Moy
Huge
second
win.
up.
Huge win. I mean, they vetted him twice or something before he ran.
Yeah.
Sorted him out twice.
beforehand. I mean,
Unbelievable.
Big effort.
Done a big
They've
job.
done
Well
a
done.
great job with the Corstons there.
Well done.
Now, the pressure index, this might be a little bit harsh, but I think Mr. Brightside, this Memsy's going to be one hell of a race. Now, looking at the market.
You're saying he's going to run good or not?
Well, I hope he does.
No. What are you saying?
No, I'm just saying that there's he's a year older. It didn't go to plan in Hong Kong, and 1,400 metres is his wheelhouse. Now he's going to be set for a King Charles over 1,600 metres, but it'll be interesting to see how he comes back, the old champ. Another wheel $4, Fangirl $4, and he should get a rain affected track, which he doesn't usually get. But he's at $7. If you think he's ready to go, Johnny, you back him at $7, don't you?
You certainly do. I think he's King Charles is his race, I think,
Yeah.
and he'll be running against Chia Wolf, clearly. So that's going to be some type of race. But I think Will, Fangirl, Antino, Brightside, I don't think Tom Kitten can beat them first up. Treasure of the Moment's airborne.
Yes.
See its trial the other day. So it's going to box seat and be there. So
Tom Kitten,
huge race. Yeah, but it'll get back, I would have thought. So, I don't know about it. And then Private Isle, obviously, it was a great win the other day, so it's in the race too.
Normally, first up, he's running on pretty hard track. So obviously, the bit of rain that's forecast, they'd be wanting that. But I don't know. I reckon going to Hong Kong and that will have taken a bit out of him. They might still work good, but eventually, folks.
Geez, we've got some tall poppy stuff
They all
here,
have to,
haven't we?
no. But
We're I potted
they all have to
Wolf,
come. They all have to come to an end.
Are you potting Mr. Brightside?
No, I'm not potting.
Do you think he can win Saturday?
Do I think this is going to be his preparation? No, I reckon his best is behind him.
I reckon.
And do you think he'll win a Group 1 in this prep?
Oh, it's hard to say, but I reckon. Yeah, I reckon no. If you had a gun at my head, only because of his age, and he's gone to Hong Kong and come back. There's no one happy for me than the Hayes boys, and I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Than Brightside winning.
Yeah.
But eventually, you know what? Nature Strip stopped. They all stopped eventually.
I reckon this could
I don't
be...
reckon he trialled. Personally, I looked at his trials. I don't think he trialled that well. But JD seems to think that he's going very well. They're really happy.
The old
with him.
horses always do, but they
look after him.
The young horses coming back.
It's a good setup for him because another wheel can go forward, but Fangirl will be out the back and Tino will probably be out the back. Brightside can be forward, Tom Kitten out the back. Treasure of the Moment.
Will it be out the back, Antino?
Well, we'll just miss the kick from time to time.
True.
It's a better...
Private Eye will go forward.
Gareth,
there's not too much pace on
If all these horses on Saturday run to their best, this will be the best Memsy we've seen in 100 years.
Yeah.
And last year's Memsy was a bloody good race.
And you know what? He deserves to get a soft track pro Brightside. That's where he goes best. And he hasn't had one for a while.
Can I just give you one yes quickly because you obviously got to read a text message out? Johnny's perfume today. You said it was SF.
Here we go.
SF it is.
It's very
if
good.
they went to Sandown, then you need to shut it down, correct? But it's only for like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Can you ask Johnny, please, where Gringotts is going next? What's his grand final?
Yeah, not sure yet. We'll come back to you. I'll let you know. Not sure. Big campaign. King Charles is the way, but we'll see.
Yeah. What are you doing with Gangster Granny?
Don't know yet. Great run on Saturday.
Since the end of May, there have been 40 meetings abandoned in New South Wales, including 2 at Rose Hill and 3 at Randwick. At Kembla Grange, also 3, and the Beaumont track and the course proper at Newcastle, 1 each. At Wyong, Gosford, and 29 country meetings. That's from Sean. Watching Autumn Glow made me back via Sistina. Can Queen of the Clubs go on with it during the carnival? I think it can, Jace. Very good. Wink Stakes is too early in the spring, Wayne.
Don't disagree.
Should be before the Epsom.
Should Group 1s be first up? I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you're going to run a Memsy, run them for $1 million too. Turnbull's no different.
Tell you what, there's some money in Sydney,
There should
isn't
be
there?
$1 million minimum for a Group 1 anywhere in the country.
Hey, listen, I've got one quick yes. Celine Gaudreau rode a treble in Adelaide Saturday. Gee, she's a good rider. Undervalued, underestimated.
Gareth,
rode a listed
any winners?
win. Good on you, Celine.
Gareth? Welcome back, Gareth.
Any winners?
Welcome back, Gareth.
Any winners?
Welcome back.
We'll be quiet.
We love Gareth. We loved, what's his name, Miles, but we love you more. What's his name? That'll get a run.
Great to,
Welcome back,
Gareth. Great to be back. Thanks, boys. Hey, we're back 9:31 RSN 927.
Look forward to that.
For the first time
next week.
Yes.
927 next week. We can talk about RSN. Wow. You'll be on your best behaviour. Johnny won't be.
Anyway, thanks for your company.
Welcome back, Gareth. It's great to have you back.
If you're back, Maisie, all get to sleep.